Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Municipality of Monroeville Planning Commission, July 17, 2024, 7:30 p.m. Would we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a brief moment of silence? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, please be seated. Sharon, would you commence with the roll call, please?
Mr. Bertoni?
Here.
Mrs. Lawrence? Here. Mr. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Masson?
Here.
Mrs. Lewis-Burke?
Here.
Mr. Siegelson? Mrs. Montgomery?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Mr. Easerroth?
Here.
Mr. Meyer?
Here.
Mr. Biko?
Here.
Okay, first order of business for this evening would be the approval of minutes from last month, which is the June 19th meeting. I'd like to seek a motion to approve those minutes,
I'll
please.
make a motion. I'll second.
Okay. Second motion, minutes are approved from last month. I'd like to make a very brief statement here before we continue to move on so that we will streamline the evening. As of last month, we will have the honor to listen to everybody's 5 minutes, but what we're going to do differently this time is we will give everyone the opportunity to speak with their 5 minutes, but they will only be able to come to the mic, address their name, sign into the log one time. Other than that, we're going to move forward. We need to do an untabling from the items that we did have last month. Those items were tabled, so I'm going to seek a motion to untable 24-3 ST, 24-2C, and 24-5 SUB. Seek a motion to untable, please.
Motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is untabled. Paul?
Okay, so I'll read all 3 items in like we did last month, and then the applicant can proceed with their presentation. 24-3 ST Willowcrest, applicant Primo Land Group LLC is requesting site plan approval pursuant to Article 3 of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 2779 to construct a single-family residential development consisting of 95 units and associated site amenities. The property is vacant and used to be the airport located off Logan's Ferry Road and identified as tax parcel 741R33 in the R2 single/multifamily residential zoning district and consists of 46.62 acres. Second item, 24-2C, Willowcrest. Applicant Primo Land Group is requesting conditional use approval pursuant to Section 504VV, major excavation of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 2779, to permit a cut and fill operation totaling approximately 100,000 cubic yards of earth. The property is vacant and used to be the airport located off Logan's Ferry Road and identified as tax parcel 741R33 in the R2 single/multifamily residential zoning district and consists of 46.62 acres. The last item, 24-5-SUB Willowcrest. Applicant Primo Land Group LLC is requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval to subdivide tax parcel 741R33 into 95 single-family lots and 3 open space parcels in the R2 single/multifamily residential zoning district. The property is vacant and used to be the airport located off Logan's Ferry Road and consists of 46.62 acres. And I believe the applicant has a presentation.
Good evening, sir. Could you state your name?
Sure.
Sign
Good
in, please.
I signed in. Good evening, everyone. Again, Ed Moore with Scheffler and Company. We're the civil engineers for the project.
Okay.
At the last meeting, we presented our plans for the development, the design plans. It's the same layout as the last presentation. It's 95 single-family lots. Since the last meeting, we have resubmitted revised plans to hopefully address your township staff and engineers' comments. I'm assuming those are still under review, but we've addressed the review letters. I guess to get right to it, at the last meeting, there were a lot of concerns over the existing mines, strip mines, the grouting, things like that. So tonight, we have geomechanics here again to have a brief presentation and to hopefully address some of the residents' comments and answer their questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ryan from geomechanics.
Okay, Thank you.
Good
Sorry,
evening.
your name again, sir?
Ryan Cossell, Geomechanics.
Okay, Ryan, whenever you're ready, sir.
So I'll start off, I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has. I just want to run through this presentation, try to simplify what we're doing here and try to better explain the methods and more visual representation of what actually happens during the construction process. So our site, okay. So our project's shown on there we have some red area and some blue area. The red area is roughly what we pulled from mind mapping is deep mine. The blue area is roughly what was pulled from mind mapping is strip mine. We did test borings. This area is pretty accurate, but as you can see, there's quite a few geotechnical issues at this site. And the purpose of our study was to try to find out what we can do to make this land usable for this development,
Okay.
so that it would be safe to build on with no issues for future homes. So I'm going to start with proposed remediation in the strip mine areas. We're going to use a method that we call rapid impact compaction. Imagine one of those tampers that you take in your backyard, you pound it in the ground, it solidifies the ground beneath you. This is just on slightly larger scale. So we combine this with an undercut and backfill. This method typically works on 10 to 15 feet of loose materials, the strip mine turnover. We'd go in, we'd take, say, 10 feet off, we'd compact the lower 10 feet, we'd replace this upper 10 feet under proper compaction control. That way, when the houses come in, basements, foundations, anything could be built on stable ground.
Okay.
Dropping a weight from a small height, 3.5 feet, and then here's a quick, maybe, if this works, just a quick little, oh, no internet connection. Okay. Well, maybe we can look at that later. So, many people would think rapid impact construction or compaction, it sounds like a scary thing. It sounds like it's going to do a lot of damage, make a lot of noise. It's actually, you're just using an excavator, no more than any normal sized construction equipment. We do provide vibration monitoring. There's construction surveys on homes pre-tamping, post-tamping. That way all assurances are met. There have been studies done on rapid impact compaction for noise, for vibrations. Everything is shown that within certain extents, and there have been no issues to the structures. It's been done in residential neighborhoods plenty of times. Everything's been within acceptable limits based on these codes and studies.
Okay.
So I think the bigger concern is the deep mine. Everybody thinks a deep mine is a big scary thing. I know some people have worked in them in the years and they've seen firsthand what they've looked like. It's a big hole in the ground. It's underneath the surface. At this site, it ranges 70 feet at the deepest point, right in the middle of the old airport runway. Tapers down to 25, 30 feet on the edges of the site where it's strip mined. So anytime we see a deep mine and we know we want to build on it, we use mine stabilization, which is putting grout down in there through a series of injection holes.
Right.
So the picture shown here, it's a little small, but the series of holes get drilled. You pump the grout down in through the hole down to the bottom of the mine, and it forms a cone. The cone is there. It helps stabilize the roof of the mine. Most mines are done with room and pillar method. You have existing coal pillars. These grout columns go in between these coal pillars. They add additional stabilization to help avoid mine subsidence, prevent settlement cracking, and anything on the houses above. This grouting also fills any of the voids in the rock that's above, if there was pre-collapse roof, a lot of voids, cracking in the rock overburden, this grout will find a way through like spider veins.
And I know that did come up last month, and I did want to reassure the residents once again that when you were drilling those pillars, that the grout and the material that is used would not be hazardous or have any sort of contamination to the earth or anything of that nature.
No,
Okay.
it's no different than putting concrete in a foundation.
Okay. All right. You may continue.
Summing things up again, we're drilling our series of rotary boreholes roughly on a 20-foot grid. On the screen here, we just have a small example of what two side-by-side lots look like on a 20-foot grid. I did bring a larger plan with me showing proposed holes across the entire site, which we can zoom onto after this presentation.
Okay.
These borings are not just injection holes, they give us information about the quality of the rock above the mine, they give us information on what the mine conditions are like, whether it's wide open, 6, 8 feet high, whether it's collapsed, and there's all kinds of debris, rock, roof wood mixed in there, what we call gob. Sometimes it's intact coal. So it's a very important part of the study, and it helps with the geotechnical study. And so the mine grouting not only helps the immediate area. Yes, it forms pillars 5 to 8 feet wide, but you're also helping adjacent areas. We're going 20 feet or so outside of each house. This grout can stabilize these areas outside the houses. It adds additional support on the outside perimeter of our site.
Okay.
So just wanted to paint a pretty picture of what the mine grouting process looked like. With the grout holes, the column of grout in between the coal pillars, roughly your mine and the house above. You extend it out beyond the house to provide stabilization for the area of influence. You start with the perimeter holes. It helps you form a perimeter wall of grout. That way, the more you move inside, the more the grout gets contained and builds up rather than flows outwards. You have thicker grout when you have open voids. It helps it set more in a column.
Okay.
Thinner grout is used when you have debris, so it can flow in between all the wood, coal, gob. A lot of people have concerns about the water in the mines. The mines have water. We didn't encounter full standing water in these.
Okay.
Groundwater tends to flow in that just through the cracks in the rock. It'll lay on the bottom of the mine. It may stay there, it may flow out. Typically, it's not that much water. When we do grout, we take that into account. So we use the trimming method. You stick a pipe down in the ground all the way through the water and pump it underwater, whether it's a foot, 2 foot, and it helps build up so the water doesn't just wash away the grout and you don't get any kind of stabilization.
Okay.
The grout's not going to force the water out of the mine. It's not going to shoot it into people's homes. The water is going to remain there. If it's already in there, it'll still work its way around the grout columns as it normally would beforehand.
Okay.
So, pointing this slide out, showing the structural dip of the bedrock. It's a bit technical, but just to simplify it, water's going to follow the direction of the dip of the rock. So if there is any water and it is flowing in any direction, it would actually flow towards the northwest, towards the current Maple Crust development. So I know some people have expressed concerns about mine water at their houses. We did have someone go out and take a look around. He took a few pictures. These are just two of the pictures he snapped. It does appear there's some discoloration in this water, something corroding the storm sewer inlet. This is the intersection of Valley View and Greenleaf. So research into this showed this area is actually outside of the mining areas. It's below the outcrop of the Pittsburgh coal. So what we've determined is the water there is not directly from the mine. Now, water does tend to follow coal seams, and there does appear to be an outcrop of the coal seam on the hillside behind Valley View below Blueberry. Coal seams could produce acidic water. I can't say for certain if that's what that is, but that's just some ideas we had to try to look into some of these concerns.
Okay.
Then, so that's the end of my presentation, and then I just wanted to point out
Okay.
the grout location plan that we have for the overall site. Is there a way to zoom in on the overhead? Okay. So, we have holes in a 20-foot grid pattern across all of the lots. And then we have grout holes going along the roadways, spaced at 20 feet. And we'll have roughly 2 holes along each stretch of roadway, side by side. And then this one corner down here is what we identified as the strip mine area. So it's likely that these lots would not need grout, deep mine grouting, because the coal and the mining have already been removed here. And this is where we'd perform the rapid impact construction, or compaction, excuse me. So with that, Dr. Alvey, do you have anything to add?
Excuse me. My name is Javed Alvi. I'm president of Geomechanics Inc. And you know,
I'm sorry, excuse me. What was your first name again, sir?
Javed Alvi, excuse me, Javaid. Last name is Alvi, A-L-V as in Victor I. I've been working with Ryan on this project. And what he said, in addition to that, I'd like to point out a few other things to simplify things. In greater Pittsburgh area, typically we run into 3-4 major geotechnical issues. On this side, the topography is one issue, the presence of deep mines another issue, and the presence of strip mine area is another issue.
Okay.
So our job was to delineate all these areas and come out a set of recommendations which address this issue and remedify, alleviate some of the concerns there might be. Listening to all the neighbors over here, stability of the cut and fill is no problem.
Okay.
We don't have very deep cuts and we don't have very high embankments. The one we do have, we have proper subgrade preparation criteria, proper design of the slope compatible with the strength of the materials. The strip mine area, which is relatively small compared to overall site, has different depth of the strip mine backfill material. Originally, we proposed 3 different options, and we thought DDC was the most economical and rapid method of doing it, and we have done it right now for quite a few sites in Pittsburgh area, that particular method. But to alleviate the concern of the citizens over here, the owner has decided, development has decided that they're not going to use DDC method. Instead, predominantly, they will do undercutting and backfilling. And how much undercutting and backfilling will be needed depend upon the thickness of material there. So that portion is gone.
Okay.
Second portion was that what does deep mine grouting will do to the adjacent properties. First of all, the boring we drilled over there, we know the mine is not flooded.
Okay.
Some
Right.
places mines are flooded, some places they're not. Here, the mine is not flooded. The only groundwater table we found was really at the bottom of the mine, which surface water trickles down and gathers in the opening at the bottom. The amount of coal which has been taken out, our best guess was that 60 to 70% of coal has been taken out. And there is some roof support left in there in the form of coal pillars. The program, what we're suggesting is basically recreate the situation. We're going to try to underpin the roof so that it doesn't collapse. So there are a series of grout injection hole which we propose to pump some of the grout to develop the mass
Right.
which will support the roof overburden. Now, we are not suggesting to do saturation grouting. That's not the method we are suggesting. Saturation grouting means you pump thin slurry and try to fill in the 100% cavities underneath it.
Okay.
Now, that will impact if there was any water, the new slurry will try to flow that one out. But we are not doing this one over here. What we're doing is, if you have a freestanding cavity, you have void, we're just gonna underpin it by constructing grout column, just underneath it. Now, if there is a lot of gobbing over there, we try to impregnate it and solidify it. So really, there is not a heck of a lot of material being pumped in the mine.
Okay.
Typically, in this area, we are pumping anywhere between 4 cubic yard to 15, 16 cubic yard. Some of the hole might take a little bit more, but we control it, that it doesn't go everywhere else, just stay underneath the point where we're gonna support it.
Okay.
So the groundwater, if there was any, as mentioned on earlier, the structural dip of the bedrock is away from going toward the northwest. And if there was any water, it'll be flowing towards that. There's a syncline over there. So I don't think so there is a groundwater problem from the mine. As a matter of fact, what we're doing over here to stabilize this area, this will have a positive impact on the adjacent areas as well. It will minimize the spreading of the mine subsidence in other areas.
Okay.
If anything, it's helping it, not hurting it.
Right. Okay. Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Does anyone else on the developer side need to speak?
Nothing else, we're just here for questions then.
Okay. Does the panel have any questions for the developer? Any questions?
I don't have questions, I do have concerns, and that's, I'm sure you will be addressing, and that is the traffic that will be brought in on those streets that are right now dead ends. Can you speak to them?
My name is Zach Staley of Trans Associates who performed the study. What specific concerns do you have regarding traffic? What I can say is that the development in a traffic sense will not generate significant amounts of traffic. And when I say that, the development at the end of the day, the Buttercup Drive, Quince Road, or Hazelnut Drive, they will experience one car every 2 minutes on average throughout the course of a day. That's, like I said, all the traffic distributed evenly over the course of a day. That means, of course, during the peak hours of traffic, you're going to have a little bit more distributed to those roadways than, of course, you would have at midnight or during the late evenings.
Let me say this. I do recall from, I know we're gonna, still be in a position here of the traffic flow and so forth, but I'm still going by last month's meeting in regards to everyone coming together, and hopefully it was the meeting of the minds. Now, it was my understanding from even an individual volunteering last month, I believe his name was Mr. Scott Belay or Beeley. Is he present by any chance? Okay. Sir, can you step up to the mic, please? Thank you. Before we start getting into any further, please state your name and sign in.
Scott Belay.
Okay. And before we get too far into the do's and the don'ts and the objections and what we like and what we don't like, it was my understanding that the residents, and I believe you had volunteered to assist the
I volunteered to
residents.
assist, not lead.
I'm sorry?
I volunteered to assist, not lead.
You volunteered?
To assist, to help them answer questions.
Correct, correct.
Not
So my question is this. This was tabled purposely for that meeting so that, again, we could hopefully come to the meeting in the minds. You were a gentleman last month, you volunteered your help and so forth. So the question to you is, did that meeting take place and what was resolved?
There was no meeting between the residents and developer, as far as I know.
Okay, what happened there?
There were a couple meetings attempted to be set up by both the developer and the residents. The initial meetings that were,
Back here. We can't hear nobody back here.
Yep, it's
no one's
on.
not on.
Maybe speak into the microphone. It is hard.
Yeah,
Can you hear now?
No, stand at the podium and just talk right into the microphone.
Okay.
He'll be able to pick you up.
The meetings that were initially attempted to be set up, the developer can only meet during the day.
Okay,
All these people work. They tried to get one in the evening. It was scheduled for the council meeting.
Correct.
Night, and nobody knew the council meeting was the same night. So the residents canceled the meeting and came to the council meeting it was Citizens Night, to have a discussion there. At that point, there was no meeting ever set up. There was no communication from the developer back to the residents, and I don't think, Shar, was there any of the residents to the developer?
No, he had, unbeknownst to us, he was going on vacation for 3 weeks. So he, in good faith, said that he would meet with us, but lo and behold, he was going to be out of town for 3 weeks. He did say that his people could meet with us, but the only night that we agreed to
all right.
was the.
Ma'am, if you're going to speak, I'd like for you to come up to the mic, please, because we can't hear you for the record. And hopefully you and Mr. Belay can,
Yes, we were.
what was your name again, please?
Char Milner. Charlotte. So yes, he told you in good faith that he would meet with us, but lo and behold, he had planned on being away for 3 weeks during this whole time. He did say he could have his people meet with us, so we tried to arrange for a Tuesday evening, but lo and behold, we learned that there was a citizens meeting, so we chose to attend that, to put our voices on record, than to meet with him. He never chose to reschedule. Again, he was out of town for 3 weeks. So we never did have a powwow with him. He just told you that to maybe check a box to say he was willing to meet with us, but never commenced.
Okay. All right, well,
Can I say one last thing?
sure,
since I'm up here?
absolutely,
Since
absolutely.
I'm only allowed to talk once, which I wasn't planning to talk, but there's a number of things that can be done to this plan, and that meeting still needs to take place. But my feel is the residents don't want this development, and due to traffic concerns. I hear your traffic study. If you look at these drawings, 90% of the traffic's gonna go up Hazelnut. It's gonna go down Dahlia and up Hazelnut. It's not gonna go on the other roads. That's my opinion, this is an opinion now. And there's things like the mailboxes are located right next to a house on Hazelnut. So every resident's gonna go to that mailbox every day and stop, maybe once or twice. All the delivery trucks are gonna go there. There's a lot of problems with this plan. Yeah, the retention ponds are abutting Snowball Drive. All the houses on Snowball are gonna look right at retention pond. Look what happened with Maple Crest. The retention pond's directly behind Pugliano's house. It looks terrible. He has this $400,000 or $500,000 house, and there's a retention pond in his backyard. Nobody made a change for that. They wouldn't agree to it. It's an example. You got problems like that. This plan could be simplified, the roads could be shortened, you could reduce the number of homes, they could still hopefully make money that way. They don't all have to be connected. That would really cut down on the traffic if you didn't connect all these roads. With that said, I mean, those are some of the key points. But yeah, there was never a meeting with the developer, and John Spagnola asked me to send him an email with these ideas. I never heard back.
Okay.
I texted him and never heard back on the text. But my opinion, if you're gonna do this plan, there's a lot of changes that gotta be made. As is, but never recommend it, and I don't think any of the residents want it at all.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you for your time.
Yep.
I just wanted to bring that up as quickly as possible before I'd like to turn the meeting over to the experts, so that when the residents do have the questions, you're going to have the right people who have the knowledge, the expertise, and the experience to answer any of your detailed questions. So at this point, I don't know how we want to do this, Paul, in regards to opening the floor up.
I would just let the residents make comments, and
We'll go from
whoever's
there.
best suited to respond to the comments will respond.
So if we want to take the first resident to come up, please remember 5 minutes, one time at the mic, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
Please make sure that you sign in.
I am signed in. I'm gonna try to read it so I can stay within my 5 minutes. So once I finish, then if you want to entertain questions, that would be great. For people who don't know, my name is Shar Milner. As I stated last month, I live on the corner of Quince and Valley View. My parents had my home built in 1955, and they were the very first residents of Quince. My parents were told when they bought their lot on Quince Road that it would be a dead-end lot, dead-end street. I can confirm this since the former airport was established in 1948 and was fully functioning when Quince Road was being developed in 1955. No one had the foresight to know that the airport would close someday. So to say that Quince, Buttercup, and Hazelnut were designed to be open is patently false. The airport was always private property. The address of the airport was always 3926 Logan's Ferry Road. And when the airport was for sale recently, it stated 57 acres at 3926 Logan's Ferry Road. It did not mention so-called access roads of Quince, Buttercup, or Hazelnut because we simply were never part of the airport property. This Monroeville Planning Commission caused this dilemma when you allowed the property to be rezoned in January of 2022, then erroneously approved the senior living apartment complex to be built in the front of the land, causing the 47 acres in the back to be boxed in. Now you're looking to disrupt our long-standing, quiet, and safe 69-year-old residential neighborhoods. This planning commission approved an asinine deal with the Willowhead residents to block future access on the 47 acres to Logan's Ferry Road. Well, precedence now has been set, and now you will make a deal with Quince, Buttercup, and Hazelnut and not open our dead-end streets. The Primo Land Group did not do their due diligence because there are no established entry points on the 47 acres on which they would like to build. Furthermore, according to the recent January 2022 rezoning map of the former airport, Greenleaf Park has the same adjacent location to the 47 acres of property as our 3 streets. According to the Allegheny Property Assessments, Greenleaf Park is owned by the Municipality of Monroeville. So destroy, utilize, or open a Monroeville's own property and do not create major hardships for Quince, Buttercup, and Hazelnut. We should not be forced to lose property footage when you can enlarge our roads that would make our neighborhoods congested and less safe on which to live and exercise. Garden City has been part of Monroeville for 69 years. This borough has been collecting our taxpayer dollars for longer than 95% of you have been alive. So why don't you have our backs? Why are you catering to a company that only benefits them? You on this planning commission have the responsibility to do what's best for us tax-paying citizens of Garden City, Monroeville. Why are you not protecting our properties? Most of my neighbors bought their home because of the dead-end streets. Has this municipality of Monroeville informed all the real estate agents of its ludicrous proposal to open our dead-end streets? Real estate agents have been selling homes on these roads as dead-end streets in good faith. What's their legal recourse if you approve this? Most home listings are removed after being sold, but I managed to locate an old listing on Buttercup Road that states serene location, dead-end street. On the website edcode360.com, under the Municipality of Monroeville, Pennsylvania, Part 2, general legislation. Article 4, street and traffic standards, Chapter 320-34, street standards. Provision B, special purpose streets. Number 2, Number 2D, states, quote, "A temporary turnaround shall be provided at the end of a dead-end streets, which are intended to be extended as through streets in the future," unquote. Just like when you're selling an old home, it must be brought up to code. Our roads should have been brought up to current code prior to the sale or proposed agenda, if in fact our roads were designed to be open. I just proved once again why our roads were not designed to be open in the future. I created a petition and my neighbor spent the last month going door to door for signatures. Many people are not home due to vacations, but she did collect an impressive 326 signatures to block the opening of Quince, Buttercup, and Hazelnut roads. The citizens of Garden City have spoken, and we want the Planning Commission to shut down this ludicrous proposal to open our dead-end roads. If Primo Land Group can enter the 47 acres in a different way, then we invite them to build whatever they want. But this municipality of Monroeville should not grant them permission to disrupt our lives just for their financial benefit. Your loyalty should be with us taxpayers. Make them go through Greenleaf Park, extend Maple Crest, or simply have them move on and forego developing the 20 acres of the 47-acre property. We are not here to make concessions. Your prior approvals lack the insight needed to complete the development of this property. Your answer needs to be no on approving this development if it involves opening Quince, Buttercup, and Hazelnut. That's pretty much all I prepared, but now having heard what they said, again, I'm not objecting to them developing. I know Greenleaf Park is now owned by you people, so access your own property. I was also told at a past meeting that in fact, you can't have X amount of homes with only one entrances. Well then, eliminate some homes, coming through Greenleaf Park, you own it, you disrupt your lifestyle, you've owned it since 2009, leave us the heck alone. 69 years you've been collecting our taxpayer money, have our backs. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I have the next resident who'd like to speak, please? Speak into the mic, sign your name, and state your name also.
I already signed in.
Okay, your name, please?
So, my name is John Akey, and I live in Garden City. I come before you to recommend that you approve the Willow Crest development for 95 new families.
Okay,
With this development of 95 families, they do not know it yet, these 95 families, but they will live in Monroeville. But they do not know it yet, and they are not here at this meeting. That means 95 families will be direct beneficiaries to this project. 95 families that have kids go to our schools, patronize Monroeville businesses, pay taxes, and be involved with our community. But this development is more than just those 95 families that call this home. It benefits the entire community. Yes, this developer is prepared to renovate Park and Garden City. That is good for the community, and we should not be advocating for it to be removed. That'd be great, but the benefits go beyond that. According to an April Trib article, Gateway lost $68 million in property tax revenue since the pandemic. That's the fourth largest non-Pittsburgh school in Allegheny County. This development will add 95 properties to the tax rolls. It will not solve a pending budget crisis, but it will help. It will pay for the teachers, equipment, and activities that the school provides. The taxes that Monroeville collects will help pay for transportation improvements like to the roads, to our parks, and other community improvements. So unless we want to pay higher property tax rate, this development provides a huge benefit to this community. For the Monroeville school-age population is going down. According to Pitt's University Center for Social and Urban Research, Monroeville's enrollment in K-12 schooling has gone down 4.7% in the last 10 years. This project represents 95 homes for families to raise kids to attend Gateway. But the benefits go beyond Gateway. Residents in this community will shop in Monroeville's businesses, have jobs in Monroeville, and participate in community events. events at our parks and our convention center. This location for this development is an easy bike ride to Garden City Pool, Evergreen Elementary School, the firehouse, and to 3 churches and parks in the community. With the availability of affordable e-bikes, this development is at a location where everywhere in Monroeville is accessible by e-bike. Our streets, if our drivers allows, are safe and can handle an increase of traffic that this development brings. Another benefit is that of housing cost. Studies show that new housing construction lowers housing costs in the immediate area. In fact, they show that not building housing raises housing prices. That keeps people like me, someone raised in Monroeville and has a full-time job, from buying a home and making Monroeville my permanent home. The homes in Garden City are great, but they're getting old. With the work from home environment in the post-pandemic world, homes in Garden City just aren't built for that. These 95 homes will have modern features and amenities that are to be expected in 2024. It will help alleviate our aging housing stock, which is one of the oldest in the nation. Monroeville is a great place to live, quality parks, pools, hospitals, and schools, plenty of restaurants and shopping centers, easy access to anywhere in the Pittsburgh metro area by car, and Pittsburgh Regional Transit. We should want our community to be affordable and welcoming to new neighbors. We should want everyone who wants to live, to be able to live here, and not in Westmoreland County, not in Plum, and not in Penn Hills.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for your time.
How much developer paid you
We do
to say that?
appreciate.
I'd like to know what street he lives
He lives on Cottonwood, by the
Hold
way.
on,
He does
hold
not
on,
live
hold
there.
on, hold on. Let's keep the voices down, please. Let's keep the voices down, let's watch the language, too. Ma'am,
I'm Carla Canasi.
What is
I
it?
live on 413 Hazelnut Drive, the last house on the left directly impacted by this development, across from the Capuccios, who were also directly impacted. The gentleman that just spoke lives on Cottonwood, not directly impacted by this development. Just saying that. With that said, I'm the one that sounded the alarm regarding this development because nobody on my street, Quince or Buttercup, knew that this was happening. I found this out because you pulled up in front of my house and I walked out during a break and we had a lovely conversation. I filed a right to know. I met with Mr. Paul Wilden and shared information. We went over this, we went over the traffic study. The traffic study is flawed. Here's how it's flawed. You can look at it.
face forward,
You
ma'am.
did not,
Yep.
sorry,
You have to face
I'm
forward.
used to directing the people I'm
That's
talking to.
okay, he can hear you if you face forward.
Okay. The traffic
try
study
to
is
speak
flawed.
in the mic so it's
Okay.
clear for the
Traffic study was
stenographer.
flawed because he did not assess the traffic coming off of Laurel into
Okay.
Garden City Drive. He assessed the traffic coming up at Evergreen and Garden City Drive, as well as Old William Penn and Garden City Drive. He also did not assess the traffic when schools were being let out. When I travel from Penn Hills or Wilkins Township, I come up Laurel to go to Hazelnut Drive. That was not assessed. I also live on Hazelnut. You're saying there'll be a car every 2 minutes. Do you know how many cars go up my street on a day? Maybe 3 that don't live there. It's a very quiet neighborhood. The increased traffic is very, very concerning. My road is 22 feet across. If my daughter parks in front of my house, and their daughter parks in front of the house, no car, ambulance, truck, delivery truck can get through into the new development. The streets are simply not wide enough, nor are they built to sustain this level of traffic going through there. Scott is correct. This traffic will go up Dahlia, make the left onto Hazelnut into the development, thus not only increasing the traffic, but the noise. That is a problem. In addition, the mailbox clusters are right there, right by the Capuccio's houses, which will increase traffic and parking and noise at all hours of the day. That is a concern. Now, unfortunately, I have to put my glasses on because now I can't have to read what else I have to write.
Just take your time.
In addition, based on the feedback from Maple Crest residents in my research of the area, an environmental impact study needs to be done to include analysis of the water. According to the residents of Maple Crest, their toxic water and soil was used as topsoil once it was excavated and laid down. That is a problem, and we need to have that addressed before any additional development is done. There's also the impact of the wildlife. I have never seen so many snakes, foxes, coyotes, and deer come through my yard than I have since the senior citizen has been developed. Impact to Evergreen Elementary. The gentleman from Cottonwood mentioned the increase to the schools. In my conversation with Mr. Weldon, he said this was marketed to 55 and older senior homes, people in retirement. So this could impact elementary, it could not, but there needs to be a clear distinction. Are these gonna be single-family homes, or are these marketed to people 55 and older? That is a lot of confusion from the developer to the residents. In addition, I was told who the potential builder is. This builder for this development has multiple lawsuits that is very concerning. These lawsuits pertain to construction defects and fraud. I'm a fraud investigator and I'm a compliance manager, and that is very concerning to me that we could potentially have a builder that has multiple lawsuits for fraud. I also have a statement from Mr. Jim Dallas, who is also a longtime resident of Garden City, who is firmly against this development. I also want to point out that I did try valiantly to schedule a meeting with the developer. He wanted to meet during the day. He also wanted to schedule Teams meetings. Not many people knows what Teams is. I was probably the only one that had access to Teams to coordinate those meetings. He was picking times that were not conducive to the residents. Thus, we tried to get one in the evening, the same night of the citizens' meetings, and there's been no communication since then. So my request is that we table this discussion to reassess the traffic, to make sure that we get it right from all points of entry into Garden City, as well as meet with the developer, because that did not happen as stated. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Your name, please?
My name is Paul Parks. I have signed in.
I'm sorry, your first name?
Paul Parks. I live on Blueberry and Buttercup. My question is, excuse me, the construction loads on the roads.
Okay.
And how does that impact the roads? And which roads are going to be used for the construction? Okay?
That's probably a great question for the engineers to answer in regards to the weight. It's going to be on the road, so maybe we can direct it off to them. Does anyone have anything to say in regards to the safety of the weight? You're talking about trucks or?
Yes, sir, because I'm a bridge estimator, so I know a little about this.
Okay.
But I do know that the roads are, I don't know if they're rated for the type of construction equipment that are going to be used on the roads that are going to have the construction for that. And that's my question. And if we can answer that for me, I would appreciate that.
I don't think they've declared which roadway system they're going to be using. Have
Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
No, we have not.
Okay, and at that point in time, they will have to post a bond on any local roads that they're using.
Okay, that would be my next question is, any damage to said roads, and then I would have to post that bond.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Anyone else? Any public comments, please? Excuse me. Hi, good evening,
Hi.
ma'am. How are you?
Hi, I already signed in.
Your name, please?
Teresa Brent.
Teresa?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Teresa.
Okay, I'm standing here to express concerns for the potential housing development of 95 single-family homes in Willow Crest near Garden City. Thank you for in advance for the leaders of Monroeville who will listen to hear and consider the concerns being expressed. I was present at the municipal building meeting on June 19th to voice concerns along with others regarding the Willow Crest development. It was stated that this matter was tabled until July 17. I have invested numerous hours gathering 321 signatures from concerned and like-minded residents of Garden City about the development. In the course of my sacrificial effort to gather signatures, it came to my attention that this matter has already been approved. This is what I was told. So please tell me.
Is that true?
Please tell me, residents, is this true?
That's
This
not
is-
true because there's not been a vote yet. So if
But
there's
this is what
not-
I was
If it's
told.
not been voted on, there's been no decision made.
Okay,
So
but
I
this
don't
is
know
what I
where
was
you're getting
told.
your source, but
Well,
that is
I can't
incorrect.
reveal it, but it's someone who is involved with this.
Okay?
So anyways, in the process of gathering signatures, I was made to wonder why there was no research conducted to get feedback from the residents who will be impacted by such development. Allow me to share. I have researched and found no information about this project. As long as time residents, which is 47 years I've been here, in Monroeville, I think it's virtually important to keep the community informed and important matters like this proposed residential development, Willowcrest. From my way of seeing, the residents of Garden City should have been notified, invited to express concerns, and ask questions in advance of this approval. Allow me to repeat, if the decision to improve the project has already been made, then this is after the fact exercises bringing our concerns into the light. And then I found the article, The Community Impact of New Construction, which contains both positive and negative factors, bringing 100 or 95 single-family homes. Concern mentioned in this article. So while I was out there, people were asking me, they were concerned about environmental impact, soil erosion, water quality, and groundwater hydrology. In the process of gathering signatures, other concerns have been expressed. Increase in traffic and potential to resident streets due to heavy construction vehicles. Increase in residential traffic once the development is completed and 95 families are added. How many impact property values and taxes for Garden City? The stormwater management, deforesting impact. How might this impact water and sewage costs? Lots of dead-end streets. This privacy is both treasured and sought by these residents. Possible concern for the greater Monroeville area. Impact on hospital. Recently, a friend of mine experienced a 7-hour wait in the ER. Impact on the school district. Other questions and suggestions expressed by Garden City residents. Will any Garden City homeowners be represented on the Planning Commission in the development process? If this residential development like Willow Hedge, or will it be subsidized housing? How will that be guaranteed? What guarantees or agreements are in place for the 15 acres, roughly 30% not in the potential development plan for the 95 homes? What will change? In conclusion, we respectfully pose be considered for further discussions, meetings, discuss concerns being raised. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have some of the residents that have specific questions that can be addressed by the professionals and the experts in the field? We understand the concerns, and essentially, they're all coming around the same topic, traffic
Okay.
flow and this and so forth. Do you have specific questions?
I do.
Very detailed questions that the experts can answer and hopefully put you a little bit at rest?
Well, my name's Diane Etchegary, I'm on the list.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Diane Etchegary,
Diane?
and I live on Evergreen, which Carla brought up some things about Evergreen, which is impacted already by traffic coming in from other developments that have happened.
Okay.
It's not from the apartment buildings that were built across the street. Those people were nice. They turn mostly left to go to Old William Penn. It's a cut-through people that come up, go across Garden City, end up going up Woodhaven or onto Center Road. And that would only be further impacted by people coming down on Garden City Drive. It was suggested about a possible traffic light. That would be totally ridiculous. There's a 4-way stop sign there now. People go there, and they're very nice. 19 out of 20 people take their turns nicely. There are goofballs to go through without waiting their turn, but on the whole, same thing. There's a backup also at where Duff Road goes up, but that moves there also. But that would either make it worse, because people coming down to exit our Garden City would either go left onto the side of Evergreen that hooks with Center, or make a right-hand turn and go down Evergreen and go that direction to avoid the congestion. The traffic light would be ridiculous, because we all know how well the ones work on 22. Oh, it's red, oh, it's green. So that would be. Another situation I thought of was last year, for the first time ever, we had water restriction in Monroeville. Never had that before. I've been here since 1968, never had that. With increased population, what are they going to do about addressing who's going to supply water to that area? That would imaginably be the same one that we have with Penn Trafford, or Penn Township also getting water access from that. And Penn Township, I blame them for our water restriction, to tell you the truth, because Ryan built a zillion houses out there just in the last 2 years. So Carla covered a lot of whatever I said before, so that's mainly what I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Diane. I appreciate it. Again, let's try to narrow it down to specific questions, please.
My name's Ron Capuccio. Good evening.
Hi, Ron.
folks.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
I live the last house on the right on Hazelnut.
Okay.
This directly impacts me. Now, I grabbed some pictures off the internet, and this is my concern for the geologists. Are we up?
It takes a minute.
There's Hazelnut. There's my house and my neighbor Keith at the crossroads of, suppose, if I'm reading this correctly, the mines. All those pink lines are the mines, if I'm reading this correctly. Now, they're saying they're gonna pour grout into the mines to support the new homes. I'm afraid that's gonna affect these mines. What's gonna happen to my home if my house shifts? Who's gonna be responsible?
What's my understanding, the way it was explained by the developer, that could also be an additional benefit to reinforcing even the homes on the outer side of that
Possibly,
development.
but what if it doesn't? Who's gonna be responsible? I have my subsidence, that's great. But if I go to them and say, hey, I just lost my side yard, and they're gonna come back and say, everything was fine until they started development. So then I'm gonna have to get legal advice, retain a lawyer, and I will name everybody here in the lawsuit. That's how it's gonna be. I got a problem with the retention ponds.
Okay?
All they're gonna do is attract insects and disease. And it's too close to the homes. There's supposed to be 3 retention ponds there. They better figure something else out about that. You guys remember 6 years ago what happened when they built the State Store up there across from CVS? Mine subsidence, and that whole building started cracking away. Who's to say this ain't gonna happen once you guys start developing up there to our homes? So, you don't want to really discuss any of this other stuff. But one other thing I'm gonna bring up is the mailbox. It's gonna be at the corner of my yard,
Okay?
okay? Think of something else. I don't need traffic lined up in front of my house getting mail every day. Do like the rest of the world does. Put a mailbox in front of the house. I think that's a great thing.
Is that an option?
Post office requires mailbox clusters now.
Okay.
Oh, well.
They require clusters. Then why haven't they done that on my street?
It's an existing development, new developments.
Okay. All righty. Thank you, folks. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Ron. I appreciate it. Anyone else, please? Hi, how are you?
Hi, my name's Carrie Boyer-Miley. I live on Dahlia.
Carrie?
Carrie, C-A-R-R-I-E.
Okay.
So I want to know why they're doing our streets and they're not coming from Logan's Ferry. So they built this 50s building with the garages around the outside of it. On the outskirts of that is 2 roads that could come up and go into this plan that they're proposing. It hasn't been built yet, they haven't started it. Why can't they flip it and put the traffic around there out to Logan's Ferry? You could put the mailboxes on both sides. All they're gonna be doing is going around these garages and around these houses that have 10-foot fences already. I walked it, I saw it. You know what brings up on that one road? They're bringing all of that equipment to make these senior citizen houses, so they can just bring those up to make your homes up on the road. Why is nobody doing that? Why? Why do you have to come down our streets when there's already a road there? All you have to do is pave it, and your residents from here can go out that way to Logan's Ferry.
That's private property, and that's a parking lot.
What do you mean it's private property? They bought it. It's
owned-
not. It's not private property. That road that they're bringing all this construction up to build these senior citizen condos is private property.
Yes,
Who owns it?
Who owns it?
the developer that's building the apartment building.
Clover owns it?
Yeah.
Same people.
The same people that bought all of this land bought that land, correct? So
What
why
land
are they?
talking about? Where the apartment building is under construction?
So there's the apartment building and there's the garages on the outside.
Yeah, that's all
There's a
Clover.
road on this side and a road that can be built on this side to come to this development. I'm
Yeah,
not
that's all
understanding.
private property owned by the apartment, the people that are developing the apartment.
They can bring their people from the apartment complex, there's a road already, they can come down that road to go out instead of going out the front of where they're at. I'm sure you're allowing them to come down our streets, so the municipality of Monroeville isn't allowed to say, we'd like to use this as a road. You can come
It's-
4 feet into
No,
my
that-
yard,
that-
but you can't make a
all of
road?
everything on the apartment complex property is private. Municipality does not own or maintain any of that.
I still don't understand why they can't come down there.
It's private property. It'd be like me taking your driveway.
They are gonna take part of my driveway,
No.
because they're gonna have to widen my road in
Your
order
road's
for
not
the
getting
traffic
widened.
to come
Your
through.
road's not getting widened.
I'm just saying, I think that is an option. Why is that not okay to do that? I don't understand why you can't bring that traffic down and around there. I just don't understand it. They own all of it, to the people's backyards, all the way to the other side, they own all of that? There is a way that that traffic can be brought around there if you look at it. Because I have walked it, I have seen the trucks come up there. And there's another option, the trucks can come up that road like they come up the road to do these and bring it up to there to make those homes. I'm just saying, I don't understand. You all are Monroeville, and you're our speakers, so why can't you help us with that? That's an option, other than what they're doing to our streets. That's my proposal.
Thank you. Good evening, sir. How are
Keith
you?
Watkins, I live at 410 Hazelnut Drive.
I'm sorry, what was your first
Keith
name?
Watkins.
Keith?
I've lived there for 58 years. Garden City is a wonderful area. If it wasn't, I'd have been out of there. I don't know why you want to ruin it by building these homes up there and open up 3 dead-end streets. They tried years ago to open up Hazelnut Drive, and we fought it, and they said, oh, it's a permanent dead end. It's been permanent for 58 years I'm there. You couldn't have a nicer neighborhood. Monroeville's a great place.
Yes, it
Garden
is.
City's a great place.
Yes, it is.
I bet none of yous live in Garden City. Let's not destroy Garden City. You'll have a lot of people move out. You people should be concerned with the citizens that live there, not the ones that might move in. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy Gormley. I've already signed in. I live on Greenleaf. So I have some different issues that I would just like to say they're not related to each other, so I'm going to talk quickly. Hopefully they can be addressed when I'm done. The water on Greenleaf that gentleman showed the picture of, that trickles past my house. And today is not a good representation because of this drought we're in. When it rains, not floods, there is quite a nice stream. We could probably catch some tadpoles in it. And the interesting thing about that is on Greenleaf, you're at the bottom of a pretty steep hill that goes up to the airport. And we've always had a little patch we call the swamp in our yard. I've now learned, I guess it's probably from the mines. But what happened was the last 2 years, we got a swamp in a different portion of our lawn. And I thought, what changed? Why is this doing this? Oh, they're building up at the airport. They're building those apartments. I don't know if it impacted it, but it's quite a coincidence. So echoing someone else, my question is, if that landslides or my and my neighbors, because we all have the same water issues already, suddenly flood, our foundations crack, when these houses are done, who's paying for that? Just like he said that. I think, there's developers in Pittsburgh that have done stuff like this. They've taken shortcuts, created a landslide, and then declared bankruptcy. So I don't know if they can put a bond on hold for, say 10 years or 20 years as a protection for the municipality and for the residents. But that is something I think needs to be looked at. Traffic-wise, a new point. So the development is like a human. So the two legs and the arm all feed into Dahlia and eventually Valley View. So the traffic study needs to address that intersection and Dahlia at Garden City, because they are the ones most affected, because they're getting the 3 roads all leading to the same place.
Was that done yet?
It was not in the report that was at the last
Their
meeting.
traffic engineers reviewing. Do you have an answer for that?
Yes. So the question was asked about whether we looked at Dahlia and Garden City Drive. We did.
Did you look at Laurel Drive?
And what'd you find out?
That there were.
Is this taking from my time? Because I want to finish my points if this is coming out of my 5
You're fine.
minutes.
You're fine.
No, he just
No,
gets
you're
her.
fine. You're fine.
If I may answer a question.
Absolutely.
We
why you're
did
here.
analyze Garden City Drive with Dahlia Drive, and we did determine that their impacts to the intersection relative to delay and level of service, with increases in overall intersection delay of less than 1 second per vehicle during the AM and PM peak hours, which means that there will be negligible traffic impacts at that intersection. And that is essentially, like she said, at the front door, where all 3 streets feed into one central location.
That doesn't, I'm not a traffic engineer, but that makes no sense. Because you said there're gonna be a car every 2 minutes out of every 3 things. So that's 3, right?
Over the
There-
course
Plus,
of an entire day.
I thought you said per hour.
No, I said over the course of an entire day. If you went during the course of an hour, it's approximately a car every minute during the highest peak hour, which is
Which is
negligible.
what? What are considered the
So
peak
that's
hours?
60 cars.
Peak hour is from 7 to 9 and from 4 to 6. So when people are leaving in the morning to go to work and then returning in the evening from work.
Okay.
Yeah, in the morning, 60 more cars when kids are at the bus stop. Just saying, okay.
Thank you.
As I understand from reading the Allegheny County Real Estate Portal, Clover Commons owns both parcels, the Willowcrest parcel and the apartment building. So when the woman was asking about, combining them, and you were saying it's private property, unless I'm wrong, but as I see on the portal, they're owned by the same company. They just don't want to connect them.
It's owned privately.
Yes, but I'm saying it's the developer of Willowcrest is the same owner of Clover Commons. Those 2 parcels are owned by the same company.
They're currently owned by Clover. They're trying to sell the undeveloped portion for the Willowcrest development.
Okay. Well, maybe that's a, part of the deal. And what I will ask, I don't know if the planning commission, if this is your factor, you gotta think of the big picture in Monroeville, not just this little pocket, not just Garden City. We've got that big apartment building that's gonna open shortly. When I went to council meeting the other night, 7:00 PM, not rush hour, it was already backed from 22 down Duff to Karen Court. Now you're gonna put that apartment building in there. And then we've got the 4 or 5 new apartment buildings going over by Giant Eagle. Again, sucking water, sucking resources, sucking traffic in a town that was developed when there was no plans for this many cars. And I will just close with, when my husband and I moved here as newlyweds, almost 40 years ago, we couldn't afford much, so we were looking at, Garden City and Monroeville and various other places. And people would say, oh, don't go to Garden City, it's bad. Well, we didn't buy it, we bought a house there. We love it, we've stayed there. We looked to move, our kids begged us to stay. But somehow it feels like people are going, it's Garden City. They got little houses, they're not important, we don't care about them. I don't think you'd ever connect, a big hoity-toity neighborhood to another plan like this. Just don't think it would ever happen. So I feel kind of offended that you would, maybe it's not intentional, but that's how it looks from my standpoint. We would never, it's just Garden City. You don't want to live there. So anyway, I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Anyone else, please?
My name's Colleen Everett, and I just have a quick
Colleen?
question.
Colleen Everett?
How many cars a day? I mean, I'm a college graduate, but, I'm not a math major. How many cars a day are coming through that whole area from this plan? Is it 10? I mean, is it 60, 180? Is it 1,200?
I would have to refer you off to the study. That wouldn't be my level of expertise at this point.
So we utilize the IT trip generation manual, which is the standardized database of all the data that has been produced by multiple land uses. And for this 95 single-family unit development, it will produce approximately 964 vehicles a day, which, like I said, over the course of a day, in traffic engineering is considered minimal and has minimal impact, as based on our study that it would have minor, if that, impacts on the surrounding area.
Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yeah, that answers my question, but the impact is, I'm not understanding the nature of what you,
So when we
define impact for me.
So when we perform our study, we look at delay and how delay is increased at intersections in the study area. And these delays are measured more or less based on a school's grading system, A through F, where A, B, and C and D are acceptable, E and F are unacceptable. And when we perform these analyses, we basically determine the difference in delay from no build conditions to build conditions. So when I say no build, it's as the surrounding study area is now to when the development is in place, fully constructed, it has vehicles going up and down the roads that we project. And what our study determined was that at Garden City Drive and Dahlia Drive, the overall intersection delay will increase by approximately 1 second, which is, like I said, is considered negligible when it concerning traffic impacts. At the other study intersections, Garden City Drive and Evergreen Drive, we projected 2 seconds per vehicle of delay increase during the AM and PM peak hours. And then at Old William Penn Highway and Garden City Drive is where you have the most traffic, so you have the greatest increase in traffic or delay at that intersection. But regarding the front door, I would say at Garden City Drive and Dahlia Drive, you're seeing overall an increase of approximately 1 second during the AM and PM peak hours.
Does that impact, take into consideration a road that is 22 feet wide, or and how wide are these roads?
Yes, it does.
Because, you know, when you have a road, excuse me, when you have a road that has, you know, Garden City has the yellow line, it's obviously wider, right? And I know you understand the nature of the smaller roads where you park on one side, you have to pull over when another car's coming.
Right.
So what are those, are these the same size streets?
My understanding,
Those are proposed to be 22 feet wide.
Okay.
but in regards to how lane widths affect our analysis, lane widths do affect our analysis. We use the highway capacity manual, which is another standardized analysis methodology that is utilized to determine traffic impacts, and it does consider lane widths in our analysis. So, of course, you have a narrower street, you have a longer traffic delay, but typically these lane widths aren't a substantial effect on the analysis, but they are considered in our analysis.
Thank you. By the way, I live on Hartwood, and it's a tough decision because, you know, you want progress, but at the same time, you really have to look at the folks who are really impacted on these streets. And I don't, you know, obviously that's why we're here today, to try and find this balance, and I hope that we all can come together and figure something out. But I you know, I
Well,
don't
we,
wanna see
we
my
did try to do
neighborhood-
that. We did
I
try
don't
to
wanna
do
see
that,
my
and
same thing happen
unfortunately,
to
for
my
whatever
neighbor.
circumstances were, the parties were not able to meet. I did give that opportunity last month, and it wasn't taken advantage of. So, you know, even to continue to move on, what I see is that I would like for everyone to come to the meeting of the minds. That's what tabling it last month was all about. But unfortunately, regardless of the reason, nothing took place, which means we're at a standstill here. So even continuing a recommendation from one of the residents to say we should table this again, from the resistance that I see here this evening, I don't know how much more progress is going to be made, even tabling this one more month, to try to get everybody to sit down, because both parties, you are all so far apart from trying to come to an understanding. I just don't think that all of the points are going to be able to be met, that all the residents are going to be pleased regardless of what the developer says or doesn't say, or what he does or what they don't do. So, you know, this is a very delicate of tipping of the scale here when I was trying to balance that out last month. And this would have been a little easier process and transition if the parties did get together last month and try to do something. But apparently, that did not happen. So here we
I
are.
believe that still needs to happen. This is just my last, but I think that still needs to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else on that? Please.
Hello,
Hello, how are you, sir?
my name is Donald Geshin.
What was your first name?
Donald Geshin.
Donald?
I live on Snowball.
Please sign in.
You have been nice enough to listen to our concerns.
Could you
I'm
sign in?
I'm sure you know what they are. I'm not sure about the experts, and they haven't had much to say. I know at a proper time you will take a vote, but do we get to hear your opinion about anything? Can any of you tell me anything about what you're thinking about this meeting and the future of Monroeville? I mean, I know that your problem is to consider our position compared to the new developments and what it might do for Monroeville. But any of you have anything to say about what you're thinking about?
Anyone on the
Do I
panel?
ever know what you're thinking about? Right, who has something to say?
I'm thinking about, it would have been much better if some of you guys would have gotten together last month. but that didn't happen. I don't know that you have another opportunity to do that.
Well, let me, hold
Yeah,
on,
but that's-
hold on, please.
Yes.
Last month, I did give a few words in regards to how beautiful Monroeville was. If the same people were here that were there last month, I did make some comments in regards to everyone's concerns, in regards to making the community grow, that it would increase our tax base, that the police would patrol the communities more, and so forth, and whatever. There's no question about it that this is a great place to live. But we also have to understand that progress at some given point in time must move forward. And there is a balance there of give and take for us to be able to continue on and build new homes, increase our tax structure, and so forth. This is a very delicate situation, and I do understand that. And I respect everybody's opinion, I really do. Okay? But as I mentioned last month, also please understand that we are a recommending body. We do not have any legal authority. Okay? We are a recommending body, and regardless of how the vote takes place, whether it's going to be this evening or whether it's going to be tabling for another month, which again, my personal opinion as chairman is, I don't believe it's going to accomplish much more, okay? Because of the distances and how far apart you all are. But what I believe is trying to come together, and it's difficult to do that when we're so far apart. I think it's a fantastic idea. We want Monroeville to continue to grow. Monroeville is continuing to be a beautiful neighborhood in regards to what they're doing on Route 22 and just everything else about Monroeville.
I agree with you.
Okay, I live here and I'll continue to live here, and I think it's a beautiful place. But you have to understand, at some given point in time, decisions have to be made to move forward. We may not all agree with them, but as time goes on and we adapt, I think we can all come together for the good and well-being of the community. So-
Ladies, do you have any comments?
I actually have a couple questions, just catching up. Price point of the units, I'm not sure what we're talking about affordability-wise.
I don't think we have a builder at this point, at least if there's one I've been told. I would assume it's gonna be mid to high threes into the fours probably, so they're gonna be nice homes.
But somewhat affordable.
If that's affordable, they're, you know,
Hey,
depending on who
hey,
you are.
Ed,
Okay.
Is there a
Go to the
range?
microphone.
Is there a price range going to be from what to what these homes are going to cost?
Like I said, if there's a builder, I'm not aware of one, so I don't know the exact price point. But I would have to say, again, probably mid threes to into the fours, somewhere around there is my guess.
Okay.
These men over here are experts.
I have,
They are, sir.
Would you have anything to say?
Sir, you need to stay at the mic, please.
Yes, they're here, but I haven't heard them say anything. Do they have opinions about
Well,
anything?
ask them a question. They'll be more than glad to answer.
I am. You have an opinion? You have anything you want to say to us?
I'll start out. My name's Dan Dizeroth. I'm the municipal engineer. I've reviewed the plan for the stormwater management, and I've reviewed the subdivision plan. What I think is important to understand is Monroeville has ordinances and laws, and the developer has to follow those laws. So my job is to make sure that they meet Monroeville standards regarding stormwater. So I've reviewed the plan. I've given the developer some comments. I see no fatal flaws in what they've presented. I've heard some concerns about the location of the stormwater management facility. It's going to be up in elevation from the homes down on Snowball, and it's also going to be distant at least 100 feet from the closest point to a home to see it. So, and there's also going to be vegetation that's going to remain in that corridor, which I think will also be an advantage to obscuring the view. So I'm just trying to answer the things I've heard tonight. That's what I would state related to those aspects of the project.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You seem knowledgeable, and I understand what you've said. Does anyone else have anything to say?
I guess
Why did you come here? if you
Darren
don't-
Meyer with HRG reviewed the traffic study on behalf of the municipality. And I would just say that I would concur that Trans Associates study met the requirements per the municipal ordinances. I do, however, understand the citizens' concerns. When you have streets that are dead-end, you really have no traffic concerns to date, and it's a huge change going from that to opening the street. The ordinances and the requirements are really set out to maintain capacity more on higher volume streets. So that's where you're kind of, I agree with the data presented, but that's why the increase in delay really isn't significant on the streets studied, because there's extra capacity, say, there now because they're residential streets. So it's kind of, the traffic engineering's looking at more once you get, to Route 22 and congested corridors, trying to maintain that. So the study complies with the ordinances. We don't perceive from a traffic engineering standpoint that there's any traffic issues, but I do understand from a perception, the residents, your traffic is greatly going to be increased, and there are concerns with that.
I want to thank both of you gentlemen for your work. I appreciate it. Are we expecting any kind of vote tonight?
Well, as I said earlier, I think with the residents, from the residents that have spoken this evening and from the residents that spoke last month, I think we're so far apart that even tabling this another month, I'm not really sure we're going to accomplish much at this
So
point.
you want to take a vote, yes or no?
I would believe it would be in the best interest to do so. Unless anyone else has any other suggestions, I'll be more than glad to consider that. Hold on, one at a time, please. And if you've already spoken, and you cannot come back to the mic again, one time per person, please.
Somebody else.
Okay?
You're doing a good job, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Donald. Hi, ma'am, how are you?
Hi, my name is Pamela.
Pamela?
Stevens.
Hi, Pamela.
And that's spelled with a PH.
Have some water, please.
Did you sign in, ma'am?
No, I did not.
Please, if you could sign in. There should be a pen there.
There's a pen, well, there's no lines. I'll just go with that.
Oh, there's no more lines?
No.
You could just turn it over.
I'll just do it below.
Whenever you're ready, Pamela, thank you.
Okay. While I'm writing, I will speak. I moved into Monroeville in '88, and I love where I live. But nobody told me that I was going to have my own personal ice skating rink. I have an ice skating rink because the mines found its way to my house and the houses on that block. And my driveway, for about 3 years, I had an ice skating rink. Literally, anybody who know me, they would see the water pouring out, and when it's cold outside, the water would freeze. Now, I hear these gentlemen say something about the mines will not be a problem, the water won't be a problem, but I'm not sure I buy that. They said the same thing when I moved in, and unfortunately, the mines didn't know they weren't supposed to dump the water in my house. I had to cut my walls out downstairs where we had a nice living quarters 3 times and get new walls all installated in the bedroom, in the family room, and in the bathroom. Then, every time I put it up, water again would come. I'd have to do it. Nobody had any money when I talked to the municipality, and when I talked to the state. They sent some people from Harrisburg to take a look to make sure it was their water, mine water, and it was. And the only thing the guys could tell me was, we don't have any money. Well, I don't either. I mean, I don't, my driveway right now, still the walls are down because I can't afford to put them up, and it's been years going on. I had to tear down my deck because so much water was in my back that it rotted out the foundation of it, so we had to tear it down for safety reasons. All I want to know is, I want to be assured, I'm not going to have to worry about all that water dumping into my home again. And I'm still trying to find out who's going to reimburse me for all the money I had to borrow so I could get these repairs done in my house, let alone outside of my house. So, my question to you all is, how do you know the mines aren't going to decide, well, we need somewhere to dump this water, and they put in all of these pillows and things, and we're not supposed to go beyond them? That doesn't mean that it won't.
Can somebody respond to that? I'm not sure who the.
Man, with all due respect, first of all, I don't know with respect to mine elevation, where is your home located? Is
On
it
Greenleaf
higher
Drive.
or lower?
On Greenleaf Drive.
Okay, so we have to figure out specifically, you might have completely different reasons for all the water you're getting in. It may have nothing to do with the mine. So this statement making, oh, you're dumping in over there, so water gonna come. Water is coming to your house even now, right? Without dumping anything. So I was just suggesting, right now, the basis on the facts, the knowledge we have, the mine is not flooded. There's some water a little bit at the bottom, it always happens, when you got a mined out area, some water gonna trickle down at the bottom. And if there is any significant water, it'll be flowing downhill, not uphill. Another thing, right now, all the rainwater precipitation you get is soaking into your surfaces right now, all over the place, development area. When they develop it, quite a bit of that infiltration area will be gone. There'll be houses, there'll be roads, and they'll be collecting all the surface water and going to the sedimentation corrode basin. So if anything, it's gonna reduce the infiltration of the water into the mine. So just because you are having that problem doesn't mean it has anything to do with mine. We have to look specifically what your house is, where it's located, and what's the relationship to the mine.
My house definitely is mine is definitely my problem. I know because, like I said, I called Harrisburg, and they sent people out, and they did all the testing. And yes, they said the mines somehow, they don't know how it happened, but mines sometimes can break loose from where they were going to find some place where they can dump. And it just so happened the houses where we are, it dumped. Now, they did come and run pipes all the way around my home in the back, all the way down this side, the right-hand side, down to the sewer line. But for right now, I'm not getting that water, but in the house. But I'm getting some of it in my back. My backyard stays wet all the time. We can't really use it.
So with due respect, somebody should go have a look at knowledgeable person, not just speculation, not just guessing, not but saying it, based on facts. But I could assure you, even in this general area, there are buildings right now sitting on this very road where have mine subsidence problem. And they use the same method to support the mine to reduce that risk. In greater Pittsburgh area, there is not one, there are thousands of houses which are built on this mined out area. And mine grouting program is one of the most effective program. Currently, they're involved at least a dozen projects working on that they're gonna be doing on mine grouting program.
What I say to that, sir, in all due respect, that sounds all great and well, but that doesn't answer my problem or my question. If they got all these fantastic things you can do to keep the water out, why didn't they do that for mine? They didn't do that. I had to go and borrow money to get things done. And then the other thing is, when I called, I went to my state rep and to his office and sat down and talked with them. And he pointed me to a program that I could get to help to take care of these issues. I asked them, I don't care if you don't give me the money, but I do care that when things like this happen to our homes, we as residents, why can't you give me the state of the art to fix it so I won't have to worry about it again?
Well, I don't know about these, who gives the money to whom, but my point
Pamela,
is,
Pamela, we understand where you're going with that, but it seems like you're bringing up a topic that really has nothing to do with this panel from prior issues or some other water matters that you may have had that have absolutely nothing to do with Willis.
Agreed, except for. Yes, but I agree except for, I heard that same thing when I moved in here, there was no such problems. So that's fine, and I enjoyed there for a while, until all of a sudden, that problem came, and I'm trying to figure out how. Where did it come from? How did it happen? You see, and there, like I said, maybe there aren't any guarantees. I understand that.
Point out where you live on.
Here I am, right here.
Here, okay. Where is?
That whole row, but that's just my house, I got mine.
It's all right, the pictures up on the screen right now are near this intersection, near your house is
Center.
very close to there.
You have to put it in the center of the table.
Can you put those drawings a little more in the center there so the overhead can catch it? There you go. Thank you.
So Greenleaf Drive over here, this green line I have drawn is about the outcrop of the Pittsburgh coal, the so-called mine. Our site is well up near this pink line. Now, I understand her concerns about being outside the area and having water issues, and by all means, yes, there are water issues. My photos back that up. But to say those are actively coming from the deep mine, and to say that future improvement to this deep mine is going to affect that, is speculation. Now, there is likely to be strip mining and strip mine spoils in between our development and where her house is currently at, in between, say, this pink line and green line. Soils in these strip mine areas very saturated. Water just kind of lays in them. It has all the coal spoils from the mine refuse. It's all mixed in. Water flowing through there can pick up the coal, the iron, the acidity, and that's could very well be what's coming out of these spoils flowing onto Greenleaf Drive. The coal outcrop, the bottom of the coal was here at 1110, the top of the coal, give or take 1120, which is right at the bottom of this hillside, going all the way around behind her house. Water tends to follow coal seams regardless of mining. Grouting the abandoned mine beneath Willowcrest isn't going to push more water that way, isn't going to hurt, isn't going to help her water issues.
Okay.
Now, her concerns are valid. I'm not
Absolutely.
arguing, but
Right.
in my opinion, they are not going to be impacted by this current study, are not impacted by,
I think they're two different issues.
yes.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
All right, Pamela, thank you so much for your time.
Have my picture.
Yes.
Okay, do we have any other further residents that want to speak, please? Okay, come to the mic and state your name,
Hi.
please.
My name is Iris Morio.
Iris?
Morio. You have a terrible PA system. I'll tell you why. When I had cable TV, I wanted to listen to, yes, I'm hard of hearing. I used to want to listen to the meetings. You can't hear you people.
Okay, do you-
Even before
do
my
you-
hearing
Do you have a
went bad.
question pertaining Willowcrest?
Well, there's no room for me to sign. Where would you like me to sign it?
Put the page over.
You can do that, you can flip the page over.
Okay.
And please ask the panel or the experts a question.
Glad to meet you fellas. Glad to meet you fellas.
It's a pleasure, Iris.
Yes, I know you feel that way about me because I'm very verbal.
Do you have a
I'm a
question?
citizen of the United States of America, and I have been voting since I'm 21 years old.
I can appreciate that. Do
And
you
I've
have-
been in Greenleaf Drive for 54 years.
Okay, do you have a question?
No, I want to tell you what I know.
No, we are here to take questions regarding
Well,
Willowcrest.
let me say, since I'm supposed to take this gentleman's word, and I don't know, and I'm supposed to take your word that you didn't make up your mind already, this was never in the Times Express or on TV. This was done behind the taxpayers' back. I believe in progress,
Okay,
but the progress you're putting on us. I live across the street from Pam. You cannot believe what her house was like. Now, I'm gonna tell you, Greenleaf, Valley Drive. My sister lived there. She's been fighting the state and Monroeville Council for 40 years. And the water was tested. And it's mine. Now, let me tell you, people, since you want to push it down our throat because of progress, I don't know how many homes are in Garden City. And it's a shame. A lot of people work and they can't come. I was at the hospital with my husband yesterday, and I want to know, and I do want to know. I don't have questions for them. I have questions for you people who are selling us down the line. 9 hours my husband waited in the emergency room. I've waited longer. Who's going to take care? We don't have enough police force, and don't tell me you're going to hire more. You can't get people. Now, let me
That's
tell you
not
this.
the authority
Who's
of this
going to be
panel.
the fire company to take
Hold
care
on,
of that?
hold on. That's not the
I'm
authority of
very
this panel.
angry.
First of all, you need to ask a question
The
about
question
Willowcrest.
is, who's going to take care of that up
We
there?
are not here to discuss police
Your
department.
mind is made up, people. You can regions all.
Do you
When
have a
you don't
question?
have this on TV or in the Times Express that I read every Thursday from front to back, this was done undercover. You're selling us out. If that road's up there, let them use that. And let me tell you, I worked on a school bus. I want to tell you, and we're told, you better be at this stop at a certain time. You think you can do it? Get in that school bus and see what you go through. It's major decisions.
Thank you, Iris. Anyone else?
John, I get to speak. Sign in first.
If you would, please.
Your name, sir?
Brian Gottman?
Brian?
Yes.
All right, Brian. Whenever
Okay.
you're,
All right. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. First, I do want to dispel a couple things that were said earlier by a gentleman.
Talk louder, please.
Sorry. They were said by a gentleman earlier today. One, the age of the houses. I do believe that majority of the houses in Garden City were built between 1950 and 1970, which doesn't make it the oldest in the country. And for working from home, I do work from home, and it works pretty well. So, I mean, our houses are fine, so I don't know what the benefit of a newer house would do to our current houses. Also, for the school tax, Gateway did not lose $68 million in assessment revenue during the pandemic. At most, we may have lost $1 million due to the mall, and I know this because I was on the board when that happened. So we're not losing a lot of revenue. But with the building here, I do live in Garden City, but since I was a kid to this present day, I've spent almost all my summers either with friends riding bikes down on Dahlia to where I'm playing softball now at the park. You know, I share all their concerns between the traffic light, which I hope is not a serious idea, because between the two stop signs at Duff Road and then by Charlie's would just cause a massive amount of traffic. To the increase of cars going down the roads, I mean, with the entrance to the park, you have families that are coming out of the park, walking down the street. Increased traffic will result in increased risk for people getting hurt. We already seen increase of traffic due to both the Evergreen apartment buildings that are currently under construction, or have already been built, I'm sorry, and the ones behind the Legion that are currently under construction. So we're already seeing influx in general in Garden City, and now we'd be seeing more, which is a concern. And also with straightaways, I live on one which is ripe for people to want to blow past the speed limits. You know, that is, we deal with that all the time up on Garden City. It's dangerous. We have a lot of little kids. But my questions, one is, I heard that for the Greenleaf Park, that's going to be converted into some sort of recreational pickleball facility for the new housing area. Is that true?
they're gonna be improved, but it's not just for this housing area, it's for the community. Monroeville.
Okay, so we have a bunch of courts in Monroeville at the big Monroeville Community Park. And with the size of that park, I mean, families are down that park every day. That's summertime, you're guaranteed to find someone either shooting hoops at, in the basketball court, swinging on the swings, riding dirt bikes back there. To have to lose our park for a housing complex that comes in, which I don't even know if it's gonna be just for people over 50, if it's gonna be for younger families, but we're losing our park to go to a whole new plan, which I don't like that idea. That's been our park forever. I played in that park when I was a kid. I don't want to see that gone. Another concern is you're saying this is supposed to be affordable housing between, what, the upper 3s and 400s?
That's a guess.
Who's exactly affording that? Because I could tell you, I'm looking for housing, and for a married couple, 2 full-time jobs, that's not affordable. I mean, could we buy it? Yes, but would we not be able to afford anything else? No. We would, I don't want low, but how is that affordable for, who's gonna actually be living there at that cost? And it's also concerning that Garden City is gonna have to, I understand what you're saying, that there's a lot of give and take. Being on the school board, I get that, a lot of tough decisions, a lot of negotiation has to go on. But it seems like we've come to the table and the only option is that Garden City has to take all the burden.
Yes, right, yes.
We have, there's Logan's Fair, I don't know if there's any ordinances that says we can't do that, but, it seems like we haven't had any plans to show any other alternative ways to get traffic around. There would probably be less complaints if we had alternative routes to get into the plan, as opposed to just straight through Garden City. And I'm concerned, which fire department would have to be the ones responsible? Because if you only can get in through Garden City, that's Station 5, or Station 6. But if this is gonna be in a different ward, is that still gonna fall under Garden City's fire department, or someone else gonna have to do it? Which means coming into our neighborhood to take care of the emergency calls. So, my last thing, this is very sensitive and, a lot of issues, and I heard that there was a meeting trying to happen last month. That was a big meeting that somehow did not happen. And again, being from school board, a lot of, emotional decisions, a lot of high stressful decisions. I do have one request, if it is possible, to kind of help and maybe try to get closer to a solution, is, if you give it one more month, set a date, let everybody know that we need this group and the community to come in. Here's this date. Not try to reschedule it, not try to, hide it. Just have that date to come together to come up with something. Let the community have a good, fair shot. If there's a way we can come up with plans to show alternative routes that could work. Maybe a longer street to get around, but alternative routes, just something to help bridge the gap.
On that note, because I wasn't here last month, is there someone here from Willowcrest?
That's
That's
the
you.
applicants.
Okay.
I'm not the developer,
But-
but yeah, we represent the plan. yes.
So do we know what happened in terms of scheduling?
I don't know totally what happened, because I wasn't the one setting this up.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one who was actually supposed to attend the meeting, and that's what I heard. The meeting was set, but the residents had canceled the meeting to attend the council meeting. As far as trying to renegotiate of another day or time or teams or anything like that, I was not aware of that, so that's just from my perspective.
Okay.
I coordinated all of that, and I can show the emails where I tried to work with the developer. He originally came and wanted to meet via Teams in the middle of the afternoon, and none of the street reps could do that. And I had to go back and forth several times to get him to be agreeable in an evening. And they picked a Tuesday, and then other residents felt that the council meeting was more important, and then we wanted to reschedule it from there. But the developer was away for 3 weeks, and we could not get another one on the table. Which is why it was my request to table this till next month so I can coordinate another one. Because I think it's very important that we meet with the developer to move forward.
What's the developer's name?
John Spagnola from
John
Shady Hill.
Spagnola. Has John attended any of these meetings?
He was here last.
He was here last time, okay.
Let me tell you, my sister fought
Uh-uh.
40 years. 40 years, and it was mine water.
Okay.
Have a good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, you too. I hope you have a conscience.
Thank you. Another question regarding Willowcrest, though, and just getting this meeting organized, because I do think there's some concerns about that actually happening. But you mentioned something about the builder having multiple lawsuits for defects and fraud.
Ma'am,
No, I'm just asking, I want to clarify that actually with the representative from Willowcrest. Is that a factual statement, or do we know if there are lawsuits out there regarding the builder, whether it's?
I don't know that, and that's a pretty strict accusation.
That's
that
why
she's
I'm
placing
a
on
little
it.
concerned.
So I can't talk to that. I don't think that's the case, but I
Okay.
can't say exactly.
All
It's
right.
quite the accusation.
Yeah, that raised some concerns with me, so I was,
To that note, may I?
yeah.
If you're done.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm done, thank you.
All
Thank you.
right, Brian, thank you.
I do have a question, if am I able to plug in my laptop, like, so?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. that-
Okay,
I'm
I'll
not sure
just
if
hook it
that's
up.
even gonna work.
Yeah.
I would
Just
just
hold
put
it
it
up.
in the center, ma'am, and let the overhead try to catch.
You probably need to.
What was your name,
state your
please?
name, yeah.
My name's Deborah Becker, I already signed in.
Deborah?
Mm-hmm.
You signed in?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, I guess there's a mic there. Okay. So one thing I did want to question. So yes, Mr. John Spagnola is not in attendance tonight. He is who Carla had been trying to, she'd been trying to get in touch with him to set the citizens meeting with the developers. I also do want to add that the citizens, though we did not get to meet with the developer, we had a beautiful meeting at Evergreen Park.
Is that an HDMI? If it is, you can plug in.
I think it is. So I just wanted to point out that, you know, the community really came together. Like, and as previously said, I think it's important to note that those that are here tonight, we are Monroeville, and we are in support of what makes Monroeville great. However, you are hearing various concerns. Obviously, I don't have to list them again, but they are all valid concerns. And I do think that they need to be taken into consideration. Now, in regards to your question about the lawsuits, so Mr. Spagnola is not here. And sir, is your name Ed Moore?
It is.
Okay. So could you come? Sure. Okay. So I did want to ask, so you and Mr. Spagnola are the principals in Sandy Hill LLC, the owners of Maple Crest, correct?
That is not correct.
That is not correct?
No, it's not.
Okay. I do want to ask, though, the Ryan Homes is what Maple Crest is considered. That's the builder, Ryan Homes?
Is that who's up there at Maple Crest?
NVR?
Maple
Yeah.
Crest, NVR, okay.
NVR.
Okay, so Ryan Homes is the builder, I'm not sure of the actual terminology, but Ryan Homes is the builder, and Ryan Homes is who is responsible for the massive landslide in North Strabane Township, which has cost that township how many millions of dollars? Like, a lot. So all you have to do is Google the Majestic Hills landslide in North Strabane, and I mean, there's news reports all over about it. And I know that's where a lot of my concerns and other concerns for the community are coming about in terms of landslides. Now, I think we're good, thank you. I just had a question. So I did want to point out, so I have this map here, and I just want everyone to understand that I obtained this information from someone who is a professional geologist for the state and a geologist supervisor. And this image here is a very zoomed in picture of the plate from the 70s. So I know it might be a little hard to see, but here's Monroeville, here's Universal, here's Garden City, and here is the Pittsburgh Monroeville Airport. And if you look at the legend, I would have to zoom out, but if you look at the legend, it shows that the area was mined out prior to 1966. And the explanation on the bottom of the full plate states that there is an increased risk of subsidence in those areas. Anywhere you see these little circles, these little O's, there is an increased risk of subsidence. And there's an O right after the word airport, right there. You see Pittsburgh Monroeville Airport, there's that O right there, indicating a past subsidence event took place according to the map legend. So, I mean, you look in here, here's Garden City, here's the Pittsburgh Monroeville Airport, and you see all of these circles indicating that there has been a history of past mine subsidence right there in that area. So I do have to question, you know, when we have all of that information there. And then also with the presentation that we had seen, and I thank you for surveying Greenleaf and Valley View as stated that there were previous issues. If we can tap back into this one, if that's okay. I don't want to touch your computer. Are we, whose computer? Okay.
It's on the other side.
Other side? Okay. So in terms of, you know, for anyone that is having issues and water concerns, as you see, like the coal outcrop located in the hillside between Valley View and Blueberry, you're finding a source of water. I'm someone that I don't think that this is exactly the plan that is going to be the fix for Monroeville because, again, I've said it before, I love Monroeville. I want what's best for Monroeville. I actually took my kids to the mall the other day. My kids love going to Monroeville Mall. And truly. But the funny thing is, here we are having a meeting here in Monroeville about a proposed development in Monroeville, and yet I saw an advertisement right there in the middle for Ryan Homes advertising people to move to Penn Township. What is wrong with that? Oh no. What is wrong with that? And that's Ryan Homes, again.
All right.
So there is a history, again, with mine subsidence in the area, right there, right smack in the middle of the airport. And then there's also the Majestic Hills landslide from North Strabane Township. And so that's why there are a lot of valid concerns with this development. I hope, as previously mentioned here, that all of the concerns that you are hearing, and especially this right here, something needs to happen that you can assure these residents of Monroeville, the ones that are here, that their homes are gonna be safe. And I don't mean just a word, I mean you put like a ton of money into escrow, whatever it is. Because the problem with some of these developers is they can purchase lots individually. They can purchase lots individually. And then once they're done, they can declare bankruptcy, and then they don't have to be held responsible for any kind of wrongdoing. And it's important to note that I've also had reports from those that live at Maple Crest. They destroyed the wetlands. So we're hearing all of these concerns about the stormwater management system. So there were complaints in Maple Crest, and the wetlands are now destroyed.
There are no wetlands destroyed.
That's what I'm hearing from people from Monroeville. And
Can
in
I
actual
can I-
Maple
can I
Crest.
ask, the community meeting that was held?
Yes.
Was there any discussion around a compromise or something that says, listen, we could live with this but not that? Or was it purely, we don't want it at all? Is that?
No, I think there were a lot of people that they shared a ton of concerns. And
Right.
again, they're all very valid concerns. Interestingly enough, the gentleman that was here earlier, the only one that was in favor of this, he, correct me if I'm wrong, he made a threat. He made a threat at the meeting. So aside from that, it was nice to actually like meet some more of my neighbors. But I would like to point out that, yeah, that gentleman that was here made a threat, and a lot of people heard it. So,
He threatened to shoot us up.
yeah.
Yes, when we had our meeting up at the park. The park, yeah.
So, again, and this is something else that it really needs to be taken into consideration,
What-
and that is.
Yeah, what I'm trying to understand,
Right.
and back to the point that you made earlier, is will a delay, another month delay, actually net a result of anything? That's where I'm kind of.
Again, at this point, I don't believe that's going to happen, because eventually, regardless of the outcome here, this is going to go to council anyway, where you will be able to present again and hopefully schedule another time. For me to sit here and say, let's call and table this once again, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee in anything. We're all adults here. Let's be honest. There's no guarantee in anything in life. So for me to get a guarantee from you to say that you're going to get your heads together in 30 days and have a meeting, I don't have that guarantee either. And I don't want this to go on for another month, because we want to do what we need to do to get this either passed or for you to have this worked out with the developer. And maybe the best way to do that would be us to have the vote this evening You move on to council, and then you can schedule and do what you need to do with the developer at that timeline. To continue to hold this up here in planning is not accomplishing anything. Nothing whatsoever. Because eventually, it's going to go to council.
Not if you don't pass it. Why are we here then? Why are we here?
Why are you,
Well, and so this is another serious question, because
How far
it has
apart
not
are
been
you?
answered.
What is it specifically that you people want that you will agree with to make this develop? Hold on, please. Hold on, please. What is it that, I mean, you didn't even come with a punch list. What is it that you have that is so bothersome to you that you do not want these people to continue with this development? You had 30 days to work that out.
Sir, we did work it out, and we came with the right to know.
You didn't work it out with the developer because you didn't even meet.
We tried, sir, and I'd like to point out that the developer is not even here. The gentleman that was pushing back, Mr. Spagnola, is not here in attendance tonight, and we tried. We have the email thread to prove it. So don't put this on us saying that we didn't try and we're not trying to do what's best for Monroeville, because that is just wrong.
All right, do you have any other further
Yes,
questions?
I do.
Well, you had 5
Because
minutes.
okay, but this
You had
is-
5 minutes.
Okay, sir, but you know what? I also had questions, and that was not taken part of the previous time. But this has been, this was not answered last meeting, and at the planning commission meeting, yes, this is something that should be asked and should be answered.
What
do
question-
you intend to do about the schools? We were told, when Carla and I came for a right to know with Mr. Wilden, we were told that the intention, and I went back and I watched the minutes, or the video from the last meeting, nowhere did it say that it was intended for senior living, not just 95 single-family unit homes. And it is a very valid question to ask, where are the kids gonna go? Because Evergreen is bursting at the seams. And as someone who came to Monroeville from a previous school district, I graduated from Gateway, but I didn't start at Gateway. Please do not turn Gateway School District into a Penn Hills Elementary. It is literally the Walmart of elementary schools. Every single elementary school in that district is in one building. Do not do that. And you need to think where these kids are gonna go. Don't just don't do that. No, you need to answer that question.
First of all, hold on, please. Just settle down. You need to settle
Well,
down.
no, because you've been copping an attitude
Okay.
with a lot of the residents tonight.
Okay?
We've had
You
it.
need to settle down. First of all, this panel has no authority and has no jurisdiction over what the school board is going to do. So you can't come to us and put us in that position and tell us what we're going to do with the school.
Well, we are
don't
told-
have that position to
So
do
we were
anything.
told, though, that letters were in review. Where does it stand in review with the school district?
Do you have any further questions
I just
for
asked
the
one.
experts?
I just asked
We
one.
can't answer that. That is not our place. We are not the school board.
So the letters that have been in review from the school district and everything else within the municipality, you can't answer to where they are in terms of
I
review?
have no knowledge of those letters. I don't know what you're talking about.
He doesn't know what I'm talking about. He
Okay?
was on the
When it
planning
comes
commission.
to
That's
school.
great.
When it comes to the schools, that is their decision, and that's a question you need to direct the school board at that time, not here this evening.
You're wrong, sir. And if you think that that's right, you are wrong.
Okay. Do you have any other further? Okay, anyone else? You already spoke, ma'am. Somebody who hasn't spoken. Does anyone need to speak?
Can I just say something? I already spoke, but my concern is the traffic. I walk my dog twice a day.
Ma'am, we heard the concerns of traffic. We understand traffic.
Excuse me, but that is my concern. That's pedestrian safety, not traffic. Because you say between 7 to 9 in the morning, that's what time I walk the dogs the first time, between 7 and 9. I have a German Shepherd and I walk her in the morning because she
Ma'am.
needs to be walked.
Thank you.
So if I get hit
Thank
by
you.
a car, then what? Can I come to
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Annette Capuccio.
Hello,
Don't worry about it.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I
All you do
can't
is
hear
worry about yourself,
Annette.
getting it passed, so you can make more money.
I think that's offensive.
Pardon me?
That's offensive. I don't appreciate that. What money are we making here?
Or whatever, but you need to pass it so Monroeville gets more money coming in.
Yes, as a tax
Yes,
entity.
but then if they have to build a new school, then who pays the taxes? We pay taxes.
So do I.
Our taxes go up because Because you have to build a new school.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am, that's enough.
We've heard from you.
That's enough. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. My name is Annette Capuccio.
Thank you.
I just have one question. If this goes through, I live on Hazelnut. Is there a possibility to keep my wood line buffer between my yard and the new development? And are we able to move those mailboxes further back to where the plan is?
I think that's a valid question. I'd like to know
You
about.
want to answer that, Ed? I know we talked
Yeah.
about the mailbox cluster, and if you can point out where your lot is, he may be able to answer your question about a buffer.
Where is your lot?
Point out
On
Hazelnut.
This is Hazelnut here.
I'm-
Well, this is extending it in, so.
So they're
I'm
the
the last
last
house.
lot.
So you're here?
I am the very last house that borders the airport.
And I believe they have a vacant lot next
Yes,
to
where
it.
your finger is, yes.
This one?
Right there? No.
This side.
This side.
That
Okay.
whole lot there is ours.
Okay, this whole lot is ours,
So
yes.
if this map is correct, these are outlines of existing trees.
That's my woodline buffer?
Yeah,
Are
that-
we going to keep that?
That will stay.
That's not our house.
Wait a minute.
That's not our house. There's no wood line right here showing in that diagram.
The little,
There's no
aren't these
wood
the
line right
woodline buffers right here?
Well, yeah, that is, but if this is your lot here, we're not showing anything right
Oh,
there.
no, we have woods.
Okay.
And I want to keep the woodline buffer between my yard and the proposed new development.
Don't
To
you
keep
also
that
have-
piece.
Don't you also have a vacant lot between you?
That's
and-
mine.
property.
That's our property. We
property.
But it's a
purchased that.
vacant lot. It's a,
That's our property.
We
I
bought it.
understand that,
Yes.
but it's.
But if there's
that-
trees
that
on
will
there,
not
we
be
obviously
touched.
won't touch those.
If there's trees on that property, they will
Okay,
not be touched.
but there's also, so when you go up the end of Hazelnut, there's my yard, trees, airport. There's that woodline buffer. Why can't we keep, if this goes through, that's all I'm asking. Why can't we keep that woodline buffer to keep that space between our Hazelnut, Buttercup, Quincy, because we all have woods where the new development is going to be, and move those mailboxes further into the plan? Yes, right here.
Well, if they're on our property and we're not doing any development here, then they'll stay. If they're on your property, obviously, we're not gonna touch them.
I understand that,
But if they're in this area here, then they could be gone. But
These
to-
trees
to-
right
to
here,
touch on-
okay.
Yeah, I can't tell exactly where that is in relations to our property and yours.
Okay.
If that's right on the property line, then those will probably remain, because if they're in this area right here, they'll remain. To talk to your point about moving the mailboxes, we did take a look at moving them into here, a little further in.
Into the newer plan.
There would be a little
okay.
pull-off with 3 parking spaces, and the mailbox would be right outside
Why
of those.
couldn't you do it in
So-
each cul-de-sac?
I'm sorry?
Why couldn't you put a mailbox in each cul-de-sac?
We don't, a lot of times, we don't have jurisdiction over that. That's the postal service that has the approval for that.
So they will not be stopping where my yard is to get their mail then? They will be moved further in
If we
to
move
get
them
there.
further in, yes, they won't be stopping there, they'll be
Okay.
stopping here.
All right,
And-
so that's
and-
just a suggestion, if we could keep that
We'll keep
woodline
everything that we'll keep
buffer.
everything that we don't need to, if we don't need to touch it, we're not gonna touch it.
Okay, that's
That's
my
what I can tell
request,
you.
woodline buffer, keep our spaces.
And Ed, I'm looking at the grading plan. I'm not seeing any proposed contours.
So,
So it doesn't look like that area is gonna be disturbed.
so whatever's there will stay.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Something I gave you from our conversation when we met, like the talking points, like the things that we were talking about, like stop signs and different things.
The traffic engineer can mention stop signs. You're adding, I believe, 2 or 3 stop signs?
Yes, as part of the development, we did perform site distance evaluations at the, what I'm gonna call the internal intersections, which included Blueberry Road and with Buttercup Drive, Quince Road with Blueberry Road, and Dahlia Drive with Hazelnut Drive, and we did recommend that stop signs be implemented on what would be the minor approach, so what you'd consider the T to the main line, so stop signs would be recommended in place by the municipality, based on our site distance evaluation. So what I consider to be the main line is at, so at, trying to get my orientations right, excuse me. Hazelnut Drive and Dahlia Drive.
Put a stop sign there.
There is a stop sign there.
Why? You can only go right
There's
there.
only 2 houses on the other part of Dahlia. You come down Hazelnut, you make a right-hand turn, why would you need a stop sign?
The Dahlia's a dead end.
I understand. I understand
There'd be
that.
no stop sign.
Do you recommend a stop sign at Chinaberry, where the park is?
At what intersection, I'm sorry?
Chinaberry and Dahlia. That's where the park is. No, there's not.
Not on Dahlia. Coming from that top.
Coming down from the park there, it's not at Dahlia.
No, that was not a part of our scope of study.
Was
So
Laurel Drive a part of your scope?
It was not, that's why I recommended a.
our scope of study was prescribed and agreed upon with HRG, the municipality's traffic engineer. We went back and forth, and a scope was agreed upon and prescribed, and that is what we followed according to the ordinance. I do not,
Said it was flawed and
the
recommended
traffic,
requested another one.
as the traffic consultant, I do not determine the scope of the study. The municipality does, HRG, which Mr. Meyer is here tonight.
Yeah.
Mr. Meyer.
Yes, we did review the Garden City plan as we put together the existing roads and the proposed connections to determine where we thought traffic would come to and from, likely to the new development, and that's how the scope was described. And it's based on the municipal ordinance and the requirements that generally, if, general traffic engineering threshold, if it's less than 100 vehicles, new vehicles are going through that intersection, you usually don't need to study it. And in this case, actually, I believe most of the intersections fall under that. So we tried to prescribe extra intersections to get a better
May I
pulse
ask
of
you a
what it is.
question, sir?
You have
Yes.
to come back up to the microphone, please, so you can be heard. Thank you.
During rush hour traffic in the proposal of this new plan, now you have school buses dropping off at the corner of Old 22 and Garden City Drive. It really backs up bad. It's gonna be a lot worse once these vehicles start going into this plan. People are gonna know that, and now they're gonna divert and start hitting Laurel Drive to get around that. Did you guys ever consider about doing a study there?
Don't forget about all those apartment residents that are gonna be there too.
The apartments was a separate previous study, and the diversion of traffic, even with that considered, it likely would not meet the threshold to even study the intersection, based on specifically the counts that we obtained through this study.
I have one more question, sorry. There have been a number of complaints about the lack of notice. I'm just kind of curious as to, I don't know that we're in any violation, especially
We're
the
not.
planning board.
No, the public notice is required for a public hearing for
Right.
council. There was a public notice posted for the conditional use for the earthwork. That was in the Post-Gazette last month.
Okay.
It never said it was
There's
connected to
nothing
our
in
streets.
Monroeville paper. There's nothing in Monroeville paper. I don't get postcards.
It doesn't matter though.
Time Express.
What they posted was legal, I found them, but it never said they were connecting to the Garden City streets. And I
There's-
think that's what people are upset about.
I understand that, and that there's no requirement under the
I know.
municipal
I just
planning
said you did
code.
what was legal, you just didn't do what was moral.
I'm asking if we did what we needed to do. which
Clearly,
sounds-
everybody found out.
The answer is yes, okay.
Just don't care about people who live around Garden City, that's all. You don't live in Garden City, so you don't care.
That's not true.
Ma'am, if you want to speak, please come up to the mic and sign your name in.
That's ridiculous.
Please state your name.
Penny Cordera, and I live on
the corner of Dahlia and Garden City.
Okay, Penny, whenever you're ready.
So my question is, when you do the traffic study, do you take into account pedestrian safety? Because I hear what you're saying about 1 or 2 cars a minute and it's not enough for it to be a big traffic thing. My question is, how are you looking at pedestrian safety? I run every day on Dahlia, on Hazelnut, on China Berry, on Snowball. That's how I get my exercise. I bought my house 4 years ago because it was a great plan to do that. I walk my dog every day on top of that. I've met a lot of neighbors doing that. I'm not going to be able to do that anymore with 900 cars coming through. I live on the corner of Dahlia and Garden City Drive. They don't stop at the stop sign. My cars have been hit. My cars have been hit coming.
I got hit on Friday because someone ran it.
I can't get in and out of my driveway safely. I know I'm one person and you guys heard it and you don't care. But I'm telling you right now, if this goes through, my house is going up for sale because we're not safe. I'm not safe. So I'm going to go somewhere else where me and my family can be safe.
Thank you, Penny.
Thank you.
Could we address the pedestrian safety?
So when we perform our traffic study, we do count pedestrians during our study, and we do have volumes of pedestrians that are recorded in our data. As regards to existing pedestrian accommodations, we don't specifically look at existing pedestrian accommodations, only what pedestrian traffic would be produced by the development. And considering that this development is suburban and that there is going to be minimal pedestrian traffic associated with this development during the peak hours, since majority of residents do drive to and from their homes, this study purposefully looks at delay in level of service and traffic impacts and how it affects the capacity and overall efficiency of the state intersections. We did not perform a strict pedestrian safety study of the existing roadways. Per ordinance, that's not what we were supposed to do.
And the proposed development has sidewalks on both sides
Oh,
of the street.
I was going to ask that. So the current neighbors could use
Absolutely.
the new development and the sidewalks and everything that's in that development.
We cannot.
So I'm talking about in the
You
new
don't-
development.
New development.
We don't live over there.
In the,
If she wants to run, she can go to the new plan and run.
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
I'm saying in the new development.
We cannot deny a project based on traffic.
Right.
So that means everyone will be walking in a new development, because that's where I'm going to have to walk my dog every morning.
And I believe
You can drive up
that's
there.
allowed. That's allowed, right?
Absolutely.
There's no issue with that.
It's a public street.
Yeah.
Why would we want to do that?
I'm just asking the
Same
question.
thing like you want an improvement to the Greenleaf Park. We don't live by Greenleaf Park. We live by Evergreen Park. And you have a proposal to modernize the Greenleaf Park.
Well, let's so their
Excuse me,
residents.
and since I live where, on the corner of Princeton and Bellevue, those kids up in, they don't go to Greenleaf Park. They all go to Evergreen Park to play. So you don't see any kids hardly ever at Greenleaf.
Well,
They all
perhaps,
go to Evergreen.
okay, well,
So you should
the
have
money that was
Evergreen
allocated for Greenleaf Park can be shifted over to Evergreen Park. It was just a suggestion.
Adalia and Chinaberry, because that is where the park is, and where all the kids come running out, and there's a school bus stop there, and they don't look, they're all little, they're all elementary school kids, and they run all over the place. If there's a stop sign on Dahlia, not just at Chinaberry, that would alleviate and make some pedestrian safety.
Yes, another thing I've just thought of.
All right, is there any more questions on
One more thing.
panels? Have any more questions?
Excuse me, I live on the corner of Quince and Bellevue, and that's where the kids get on a bus. So those kids are gonna be standing on my corner, and it's not gonna be safe for them, because cars come up Bellevue and they don't stop at the stop sign. They come down Quince, they don't stop at the stop sign, and those kids are gonna be standing right there. So how many kids are gonna get hit? That's gonna be very unsafe. So you
No,
have
it's
to worry
already
about.
up, but everybody
you should
else got
worry
to
All right,
about
does,
kids
does the
that
panel,
go to school.
hold on, please. Does the panel have any other questions? Any other questions, concerns?
I think I have a comment here. I think I'm just giving you this because of business and all. I have a little bit of experience with that. But we're dealing with too many different things at one time here.
We don't worry about the kids.
Yeah. We're dealing with too many things at one time. If you guys select a leader and get a group together, maybe 4, 5, 6 people, something controllable, and then get a plan.
I tried to do that.
But maybe you didn't try hard enough. Maybe instead, wait a minute. Maybe
Hold
instead of texting,
No, that
you
was
should.
insulting. I busted my ass to get the meeting together while I was treating
I
the
didn't mean
cancer
to
at
insult.
the same time. And this developer did not meet with us and didn't even have the courtesy to meet in person, and then you just insulted me?
I didn't mean to insult you,
You
ma'am.
did.
I'm sorry.
I worked
I'm
hard
sorry.
to do
Okay,
that.
all right,
And
let's,
I'm willing to
all
do
right.
it again if you're willing to table it, because I am done with my treatment. And I was willing to do it again. But you can't insult me in the process when I was trying to do it.
Okay. The problem is that if we agree to another 30 days,
I would adhere to it and I would do it.
You talked to the developer about making an effort. She's already made the effort.
okay.
And the developer's not here tonight.
So an effort was made by one person, but nothing happened.
Multiple people.
Have you been listening?
Hey, one at a time, please.
From Greenleaf, from Hazelnut, from Quint, from Buttercup. They were all on this email. I had delegates from each street if they could not make it. And I tried to coordinate with the developer who refused to meet with us because he was traveling and then wanted to send a delegate and then everyone decided the council meeting was just as important. And I'm sorry if my cancer treatment took priority over that.
No, it shouldn't. Okay.
Good night. If you want me to do it, you all have my phone number and my email, and I will gladly lead it. Mr. Weldon, you have my email too, and I will gladly lead this if needed. And we go back a long way.
I think that's what you should do. I think that's what you should do.
I think there could be no negotiation until this group can really meet with the developer. We don't know what's negotiable until we talk to the developer.
That's the point. You need to find out what you want first. You have to have something in writing, prioritize it.
We've talked about it, so.
But you don't
when
have
we get
anything
the
in
two parties
writing.
together,
You need to
then we have have
prioritize
conversations.
things. Prioritize them, see what you can do with that.
Why don't you look at the developer and say, you need to make a point to meet with these residents?
Garden City, I am with you as a member of Garden City, okay? I'm sitting here, I am taking in everything you are saying, and I did attend the community meeting. What the gentleman to my right just now said is really valid. We all have concerns, but you have to come, we have to come together as one. That woman shouldn't have walked out here because she is more than deserving of what she did. She worked hard. Now she needs your backing to get this together, to put a time together to meet with the developers, and the developers need to meet with you.
That's the point.
Okay, I agree 100%, but you also have to understand and be respectable, respect us up here because we're not up here to slam anybody. We got a job that we're not getting paid for, but I'm going to remind you, I am a Garden City resident and I am with you, but I have to do it according to the regulations that are set before us, okay? So please be a little bit more understanding while we try to get this taken care of.
Thank you.
Because I don't disagree with you, but I do believe in doing things right across the board. Thank you.
You just made it sound like it was all our fault.
No, we thank you for what you said.
Not
Pardon me?
the gentleman in the.
I didn't mean it to come across that way. I really didn't.
You know, they sit here and they don't return texts, they don't return calls. but then she gets chastised because we didn't meet.
She has our backs. A lot of us we're all in this together. But
And
again,
there's conversations going online, email, text. There's a plan in place on the residents' end. But if they're not gonna return calls, make an effort, then you're just gonna vote to.
Was there
approve
anything ever put together since you initially thought you were going to have? Hold on, let me finish my question. Was anything ever put together, sort of a punch list of the items that you would have wanted to have addressed, since you already knew, even though you didn't think that the meeting wasn't going to take place? Do you have a punch list with certain concerns of what you need to do? Because if we're starting from scratch, then this is going to just go on, and it's not going to accomplish anything. Because I will make it a point. You have my word on that. I will make it a point that the developer will sit down and try to work this out and make the time to sit and have the meeting. There's not going to be any more delays.
Well,
Okay?
I can't speak for Carla, but I know I sent a list which I thought was thoughtfully put together.
We all did.
Yeah, and I can only speak for myself. You know, I said, let's go with the assumption that this is going to pass. What can we do to mitigate our issues? What can the developer work with us if we're concerned about traffic? Maybe it's speed bumps.
From those items that you thought you put together, do you truly believe that 30 more days is going to make a change here?
I think a conversation with the developer is key. I absolutely do.
we tried. You need to understand. Please hear us. We tried.
It may not resolve anything, but I think the courtesy is owed by the developer.
I mean, I personally have a problem that the developer's not here. But, I mean, I don't know what his schedule or agenda is. Do you have any reason or, why didn't that happen? I'm still not clear why he was unable to meet.
I can't answer that. I can't
So,
speak for him. I guess,
based on that, I have concerns, I mean, said, the same concerns. It's like, in a month's time, that Mr. Spagnola did not have time to meet with these residents. And it sounds like there was an attempt to do that, so I'm confused as to why that couldn't have happened in 30 days.
I can appreciate the level of sensitivity of the residents and their concerns,
Right.
believe me. What I can say, I don't know, to speak to that point, of a meeting with the residents isn't gonna change the plan 100%.
No,
There
of
may
course
be little
not.
tweaks, little things we can do, but, the property is zoned R2, single family's permitted.
Correct.
Well, not only that, it's gonna have to be a situation where when all the parties gather, I mean, we can't be just,
It
you
can't
can't be
be-
having people shooting from the hip and
Thank you.
arguing and carrying on and still nothing getting accomplished.
I do think it needs to be a much smaller group of people with a very clear agenda, because this is not,
Just for
we're-
your- just for
there's
your
too much.
information, Paula, last month that was decided. There was gonna be 2 representatives from
Okay.
each street.
It was a small group.
Very organized.
And so but that didn't occur.
Didn't happen.
Which is
Okay.
what I mentioned in
Ultimately,
the
it
first
didn't,
part
no.
of this meeting
Yeah.
on why I asked Mr. Belay there now.
Yeah.
Now that he's standing there, that this meeting would take place so that we would have already been ahead of the game here this evening.
Right.
But since that meeting never did take place, here we are again, and now you're asking for it to be tabled. I'm sorry, the residents are asking for it to be tabled once again. So again,
But
what
based on-
reassurance and guarantee am I going to have to carry a vote, table this once again, in the same old, situation's going to happen again just because everybody's got different schedules, you're not going to meet? No, I don't buy that. You make the time to meet. I don't care what the excuses are. You have 30 days, you make the time to meet.
Well, I understand your concern, and you're speaking at me like that. I didn't set it up. It wasn't my charge to set that meeting up. I was going to attend the meeting, but it was canceled. But I understand where you're coming from. To my point is...
It wasn't directed directly at you.
No, I understand. To the residents' concern, the plan isn't going to drastically change.
Okay.
Regardless of that meeting. Like I said, there may be little tweaks here and there that we can come up with. We can move the mailbox further in, things like that.
Right.
But the extending the streets through the development, that's not gonna change.
Understood.
We feel like this is a good plan, not only for the developer, but for Monroeville too, so.
Okay.
I just wanna state that, and
I
I understand
agree.
everybody's concern, so I just wanted to state
I
that.
agree. Thank you.
Can I make one comment?
Sure. Please step up to the mic, Scott.
So when this meeting wasn't gonna happen, John asked Spagnola, can you send me a list of things you think you would wanna see done? Okay? I realized, so I sent one. Not one was addressed. Okay? And I can walk you through it if you want me to read it to you.
No, I
Okay, but that's the question I
believe
keep
what
hearing.
you're saying.
So I sent a list, I thought it was a pretty reasonable list. Move the mailboxes, maybe truncate the roads, don't have all the roads connected, those kind of things. Move the retention pond that's on Snowball. There's like 4 or 5 other things. Not one was addressed, okay? So you got to feel for these people, because they even had a chance to come up with a detailed list, talking to the developer and talking through it. I think you should give them a chance.
Was the detailed list emailed to the
It was
developer?
sent to John.
It was, and he did not respond.
I never got a response back, and I did text him 4 days ago, 5 days.
Yeah,
John, did you ever get this?
that's unacceptable then. Like I said, based on the fact that he's not responsive and has not been able to schedule a meeting in 30 days, I have concerns about that. And knowing that the plan is not going to change immensely, but I do think that there was an intent to have a meeting that didn't occur. So, and it sounds like that there was information that was
No,
shared with him.
I mean, Carla tried to set the meeting up. It's just too bad the conflict happened between the council meeting and the meeting that was set up for that evening, because they were having a tough time getting an evening.
Yep,
But, yeah, Carla did a lot of work to try to get there.
yep.
Right.
So,
Hey, Scott, can you email me that punch list?
make a copy.
All right, that being said, I think we've covered an exceptional amount of ground here this evening. And
Thank you.
I don't want the residents
You want this back?
to believe and to think that we do not care.
If you just want to
We all care about Monroeville.
forward the email to me.
That's why we're all here. We all live in Monroeville, we love Monroeville, and it is a great place. But let me make one thing clear. I will honor that request one last time. And I will be perfectly clear. I will put my 2 cents into this and make sure that it gets done, because the residents and the developers will meet, and you will have an opportunity to work out your differences. So we will go for tabling, but there's not going to be any more delays. I can tell you that right now. There will be a meeting next month. You will have your opportunity to speak, as we did today and so forth, but next month we will have a vote. And how the vote goes is how the vote goes.
What is the date of the meeting next month?
Third
Third
Wednesday.
Third Wednesday of each and every month is the planning meeting.
21st.
21st. Thank you.
All right, so let's get towards the direction of closing this out, and we'll go from there. Let's seek a motion to table this until next month, please.
I second it.
Okay, I heard a second.
All 3 applications.
All 3 applications, yes.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is passed, tabled until next month. All right, I'm going to seek also a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Seek a motion to adjourn for the evening.
They get one last one?
I make
We
a motion
adjourn?
to adjourn. Second.